Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Super Old Game Saturday, the retro gaming show put on every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for classic gaming goodness, though tonight we have a game that came out this year. So yeah, we're definitely being a little loose with the language when it comes to Super Old Game Saturday, but as I mentioned before, Super Old Game Saturday is a name, a very good name, that Nikki came up with, and it doesn't mean that we will not play newer games, although the game we're playing tonight is a game that is a remake of a game from 26 years ago, and also, since it is on the Switch that we're playing this, I figured may as well start here. The Switch has folders. This happened a couple months ago, and I've been begging for a while, as is everybody who owns the system. Nintendo wanted to provide them. Well, they did, so I decided to organize all my games as soon as they happened, based around various aspects company made in terms of stuff like Sega and Nintendo, stuff that's physical, stuff that's digital, and place of origin, including arcade, NES, N64, Genesis, Saturn, Dreamcast, Super Nintendo, Sega CD, 32X, Neo Geo of every element, Game Boy Color, Advance, Normal, Switch Online, games of Nintendo's Wii U, GameCube, and video apps. In my case, yeah, fitting, because, the game we're playing did sort of originate as far as arcade and Dreamcast. I mean, let's run a look at Saturn Dreamcast. Not Grandia, we'll do Grandia at some point. Yeah, right here. This is the House of the Dead remake. This came out actually this year, back in April, on the Switch, the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC, and the Stadia. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hold a straight face. So yeah, Stadia's not lasting very long as far as Google, but if you have one of those, you can still play it, and you can play it gyro control on that system as well as Switch, which is why I bought it on this, as well as PS4 and PC. And on Xbox Series S and X, you just got an enhanced version of this last week. So it'll run better, which is admittedly a little bit of a theme you're going to notice when it comes to running on this console. But yeah, I bought it on the Switch because it has motion control. I have the iPlay Game Gun. I will put a picture in the video when I edit this in a couple days showing what it looks like. We slap in both of the Joy-Cons, although it only uses the one on the right, basically at the bottom of the holster. So you can kind of play this as you would from, arcade element. Very organized groups. Nice on you. Good evening, Edwack. Good to see you tonight for the House of the Dead remake. We are getting October started off right. I probably should emphasize that too. Got a lot of horror games going on, and I figured, let's start with one. Let's start with a new game as far as this, with House of the Dead remake. But as I said, it's a remake of an arcade game that came out in 1996 from Sega AM1, as they're known now, WoW Entertainment. I'm a big one on House of the Dead, so as soon as they said, hey, they're doing a remake of this, which they had to do because of lack of source code of the original, and admittingly, the Sega Saturn version, this is A, extremely expensive, so you import it, and B, shoddy, this is the one we're running. Yeah, feel free, chat, to let us know anything you have on House of the Dead or other light gun shooters. Thank you for showing up, Edwack, and hope you enjoy the show tonight. Yeah, I've got everything set for the purpose of showing this game, which definitely is an interesting one. This is actually not developed by Sega, at least this version isn't. Let's get started with it. And load Captain D-Track as far as the user. Yeah, this version is not developed by Sega. They gave the rights to make this to Forever Entertainment, who published this, and Megapixel Studios, who developed, the same people who made the Panzer Dragoon remake, and are currently working on a remake of House of the Dead 2, as well as Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei, which still waiting to hear something as far as any of those. And Megapixel also made the Switch port of Agony. Tonight is the beginning of our spooky movies marathon as well. They go fitting for the purpose of October, so I guess great minds think alike as far as doing stuff. I don't know if you ever played House of the Dead original. By the way, one thing I probably should mention, while in the intro of this play, showing what you gotta do. Make sure to shoot the zombies, don't get yourself cut up, otherwise you're gonna lose your health torches, and if you lose them all, that's game over. Yeah, Dolly Finn was going to be joining me on this one. Unfortunately, she had some situation that came up with her, so she's not going to be on the show tonight with me. But I know she said she wanted to jump in on the chat for this one. She said she'd be able to do that. I haven't played this specifically, but I might have played one of them in the arcade. Yeah, because let's talk House of the Dead as well. We're getting the reason of what's going on. There's a phone call to Agent Rogan, and this woman is saying, please, everyone is being killed. Yeah, that is Sophie, Rogan's fiance, so now it's getting personal. Yeah, this is the first entry of the series that came out, as I mentioned, originally in 1996 in Japan and 1997 everywhere else. And it started a bit of a dynasty of Sega for their light gun shooters, as directed by, I have the name of him down here. It was, I'll have to find where he is, but yeah, this was a Model 2 arcade game that resulted in a bunch of other games in the series: House of the Dead 2, 3, 4, Scarlet Dawn, and other spin-offs on console, including House of the Dead Overkill, and the Typing of the Dead, which Nocturne has called dibs on that. We are definitely going to show that one. If you never played Typing of the Dead on the Dreamcast, that is perhaps one of the best experiences you're going to have in video games. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, let me find this, because I did write down who directed this game. Let's see. Okay, well, I can talk about the music at least. Originally, it was Tetsuya Kawauchi who did the music for Manx TT Superbike, the sequel to this, as well as audio on Fighting Vipers and Sega Water Ski. And the game was directed by Takashi Oda, who directed all the games after this, as well as the PS2 remake of Ultra Beast and Motorade, which is an exclusive arcade game of Sega's. Unfortunately, doesn't come home, but interesting stuff. Hey, ElecVerse, so good to see you tonight for the first of our Halloween block on Super Old Game Saturday, starting with the House of the Dead remake. Play on the Switch, but it's on a bunch of other systems. And if you're going to be wanting to play this, I would think you might want to play it on the PS4 if you're going for tech reason, and also because there is light gun support. In my case, I don't have a PS4, but I have a Switch, and I'm saying, like, okay, if you ever played House of the Dead, and feel free, ElecVerse, to go in your memories of House of the Dead as well, you know there's only really one way to play this, and that's with a light gun, if you can make it work. Which is also why I said, okay, we'll play this one. I could have imported the Sega Saturn version, which is like a $50 game, instead of buying the $400 US version. But I can't really use light gun on high-def television unless I don't know if I could feasibly do this. Like, jerry-rig something up to my CRT television so I can do HDMI to it, and then use the stunner for that. But otherwise, I'd have to use the controller. But hey, we'll make work what we have to on this. So I said, for the purposes, let's at least take a look at this remake, and as I mentioned, emphasize the idea that Super Old Game Saturday is a show that focuses on retro gaming, but it's all about any kind of gaming, really, in that we see Mr. Curie in there. Yeah, he has got a bad invention in that core over there, and we gotta go take care of it. But yeah, any game you'll want to see on this show we'll make happen, including something like this, which it only just came out a couple months ago, and actually last week for its Xbox Series S and X enhancement. Alright, let's take a look at what this is all about. I was going to go into my options for this one, because you do have the option in this version, as well as on the Stadia, PS4, and the PC version, technically, to use gyroscope controls, so you can run it like the traditional light gun experience you like. I have it set to use the gyroscope right there. You can also combine that with the analog sticks on the Joy-Cons, and set which analog stick you want for aiming. Run in single Joy-Con mode, which I do have for this, based upon the light gun I have. And there are pictures of that, as well as pictures of the House of the Dead Limited Edition, which I have for Switch. I have a nice lenticular that goes along with it, as well as pop-up figures and stickers. There'll be pictures going on as a talk here when I edit this in a couple of days. I played the ones on the PlayStation 3 via the PlayStation Now, but never beat them. Okay, so on PlayStation 3, thank you for bringing that up, ElecVerse, because that's going to be where we're going to play House of the Dead 4, because that's only on PS3. It's actually exclusive to that. It's a download game for $10. When I heard the PS3 was going to be closing the stores, apparently, but then they pulled back, I said, wait, House of the Dead 4 is on this, and they never put it out? Yeah, I want that. And it does have move support on that one. I'll have to pick up one of those up for the purpose of that. And I know also on PS3 there was House of the Dead Overkill, which is also on the Wii. We're going to play that. I'd probably play the PS3 version because it does run a little better from what I've understood. But, yeah, I liked 4 in particular, and 4 is also an arcade game, whereas Overkill was not. But I was always curious about what Overkill was doing, and yeah, the good stuff for sure. Yeah, I have my experience with House of the Dead going back to the first one, and basically all of them except for Scarlet Dawn. To the point where I was in an arcade about a month ago with people, and the machine didn't work. It's like, I want to show you House of the Dead. I was like, oh, this was broken, so it's very sad. Hello everyone, I'm looking forward to this. Good evening, Dolly Finn. So good to see you again. I'm sorry that you were too busy or had stuff going on with you for the purpose of the show tonight, but yeah, you're here for sure. It's like, you're gonna be on this show somehow, damn it. So, like, we'll adjust to what we have to have as I'm getting my options ready for the purpose of House of the Dead Remake for Switch. Feel free, Dolphin, to go into all of your memories on House of the Dead, because when we played Tetris Attack last week, I know you had elements about it. Okay, so quickly go into the stuff for your descriptions, or your options. You have elements of controls, as well as display. You have your volume stuff. You can mute this. I'm going to do this. They patched the game for the purposes. Thank you so much. Of course, Dollyfin, no problem. As I said, I pride myself on one thing in the show, of us being able to be, you know, adjustable and also being able to kind of improvise as far as that. And hey, if it has to be a case where you can't be on the show as it is in a case like this, but you're going to be able to be in the chat or vice versa, we'll make that happen. But feel free to go into anything you got on House of the Dead, because we got a pretty active chat so far tonight. I think we got some good shooting action going on. One thing I tell you, you can change the sound options. They patched this game about 2 months ago, I think, to let you turn this off. Mute reload, because if you ever played House of the Dead, whenever you run out of bullets, it says, reload. This game has that too, but the problem is that when you're playing a single player, like I am, but I will also show two-player off in a unique way later, they give you the reload sound, but it keeps saying it every time you shoot accidentally, so you'll hear it pretty much every 3 seconds, about. And weirdly enough, when you're playing in two-player, because in single-player you play as Agent Rogan, and as player 2 you play as Agent G, Agent G's reload voice, and I'll turn it on when we play to that element of it later, it is a little more subdued and in the line of how the original game was, because let's go on this way. I also took a look at everything, including performance mode and non-performance mode. I'm going to keep performance mode on for now. I'll turn it on later. You understand why I'm going to want to have it on for the purpose of Switch. Also, rumble on, display ammo on the crosshair if you want to. It's either or. Auto reload, which actually, I guess it's like House of the Dead 3 specific. My friend Molem Leafer says, thank you for calling his Pound Upon gameplay out for the show last week because it was very skillful. Of course, no problem. I was glad to take a look at what he had for the purpose of his playstyle. He definitely had some skills for that and great ability to be showcasing off that for our, as I mentioned, first look at Tetris Attack and at Pound Upon Puzzle League. Of course, anytime ElecVerse for the purpose of that. Yeah, you can do automatic reload, which is like House of the Dead 3, which, actually, ElecVerse, reminded me of this. House of the Dead 3, was that on PS3? I know it was on the Xbox, and it was an arcade game as well, and it's on the Wii, in which case, by the way, to go into that, I have House of the Dead 1 here, I have 2 and 3 on the Wii, I have 2 on the Dreamcast, but I don't have a gun method for playing it, 4 on the PS3, and Typing of the Dead, which is something Nocturne called dibs on. I don't know if House of the Dead 3 was on PS3, but in either way, whether it was or wasn't, it gave you an automatic reload. It was. Okay, thank you. I did not remember if it was on there, and actually, by that extension, if House of the Dead 3 was on there, was House of the Dead 2 on there as well? Because one thing I know is when House of the Dead 3 came out to Xbox, it did have House of the Dead 2 included with it, but I don't know if the PS3 version did that or if they split it or what. But it's good to hear the idea that there's a lot of love of House of the Dead on the PlayStation 3 specific, and I guess on modern systems with this, and the House of the Dead 2 remake that they're going to be making at some point. We'll see how that goes along, but I think we're set to that, and you can get your languages, including English, Polish, which fits because Forever Entertainment and Megapixel Studios are out of Poland, Spanish, German, I want to make this correct, because I kept saying Dutch, like, no, that's not Dutch, it's German, French, okay, that I'm not aware of, specific, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, Italian, and I'll put an edit of what this is. I don't remember if it was. Well, either way, thank you for filling out for the purpose of that with House of the Dead 3, to get a sense, is that I'll put an edit saying, like, is it in there or not? Because I don't know what the port is like for PS3 for the purpose of House of the Dead 3, if it's straight from Xbox or not, or how that's operating. But, alright, we also have the gallery, we'll show it off a little later. There's leaderboards, which I believe there's online for, as well as your stats, which goes into player shots, player deaths, favorite weapons, games you finished. This is stuff I did for practice, as well as other stuff. And you get other guns. I tend not to see them myself. I believe it's Russian. Thank you. Which would make sense, as I mentioned, if I will go into this. Because, as I mentioned, Sega gave the rights to make this to Forever Entertainment and Megapixel, as well as Microids, who published this for the physical edition on PS4 and Switch. So I guess that would make sense, the purpose of that. Actually, I guess, I think, actually, Protorova indicated this at one point. There's a lot of interesting development coming out of Europe, honestly. We mentioned This War of Mine, which was on the Switch. It was by, I think, 11-Bit Studios, who also made a game he got me into, Frostpunk, which is kind of like SimCity a little bit, with little harsher elements. Forever Entertainment, as is in the Panzer Dragoon remake. Yep, absolutely. They published the Panzer Dragoon remake, and this is Megapixel Studios, who also developed the Panzer Dragoon remake, as well as the Switch port of Agony, and they're working on the House of the Dead 2 remake and the remake of Panzer Dragoon 2's Vi. So yeah, if you liked the Panzer Dragoon remake, you're gonna see some familiarities here. Although, interesting thing with this, we get started with the campaign, and we'll go through original and horde mode. Start with the original. They had to rebuild this game from the original, they weren't able to use a lot of the assets from it, to the point where they weren't even able to use some of the original music, so they kind of did their own. It was Sebastian Poncelet, I believe it is, who did the music for this, taken off of Tetsuya Kawauchi's original tracks. But they did kind of rebuild as much as they could with it, like with the Panzer Dragoon remake, although, unlike that one, it's not necessarily going to be one-to-one, but there are interesting things they did with this, for sure, as you'll see, including difficulty levels. You can set easy, normal, hard, arcade, which does leave, or play off the way the arcade version went, sort of. I'm going to run normal for the purpose of this. There's also the scoring mode of Classic and Modern. The difference is the Classic, you'll get points based upon where you hit on the zombies' bodies. Modern means you can do chains. I think I'll show the chains, just for the purpose of hoping I can get the best ending, because there are 3 endings to this game, and it is a little easier to get it in this version than it is in the original, because in the original, you had to go through the entire game without continuing. Good luck on that one, for sure. And you have multiplayer modes. You can do it 2-player if you so desire. And then there's Horde mode, which is basically the same, except you're going through it, and you'll have more enemies to deal with. But yeah, let's get going. Oh, okay. So wait, hold on a second. Okay, so I guess because of that, I have option to choose G or Rogan. Okay, I did not know that. Alright, and you got a display tutorial, which you didn't show me. Alright, you can select your favorite AMS agent, letting you understand what happened from a different perspective, and affect the ending. Okay, I was gonna say we'll show Rogan. You know, we should show Rogan, I think, for the purpose of this, but I guess it's because I had the scoring for Modern on. That might be why it wasn't showing. Yeah, top agent of the AMS agency was doing infiltration rescue missions, but... Okay, wait a minute, hold on a second, because... lore question, also, this other question, or discussion point. I recently beat Super Metroid for the first time, so go through Metroid Dread next. We gotta start doing stuff with Metroid on this channel. Those are some great games, both of them, for sure. So yeah, good case of that. Feel free to hit on to that. And fitting, I guess, when you think about it, because Metroid kind of was a little bit of a horror element, especially Dread, the Switch game, which is awesome. As well as Super Metroid, which is one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, without question. But yeah, going back to this quickly as far as the House of the Dead thing here. The thought was, I thought in lore that Sophie was supposed to be the fiance of Rogan, but apparently he met her in college and married her after 6 months, but... Okay, so I thought it was that way. And then G... Yeah, he speaks 20 different languages, distinguished features being common focused, which is fitting, for sure. I will run with Rogan to start. As well as Mark of the Ninja, which I just started playing. Yeah, I have Mark of the Ninja on... Well, I downloaded on the Xbox 360, and then because I had it that way, they gave me the Xbox One enhanced version for free. I surely haven't touched that version, despite the fact I've had it for a while. That is a fun one. It's by Clay Entertainment. The people made Shank, or both the Shank games. There are 2 of them on that. That was some good ideas as far as modern stuff and fitting, because we're talking about a modern game, sort of, albeit a remake of a game from 26 years ago. But yeah, you do also have your option of selecting chapter if you unlock them all, as I have, of Tragedy, Revenge, Truth, and House of the Dead. But we are starting with Tragedy at the beginning, so hit the A button, hearing that voice of the House of the Dead. Ah, yeah. Brings me back to the arcade in, well, 1997 when it came out, but also I used to play this game a lot. Whenever I went. Yeah, thank you, Gaijin Goomba, for the purpose of Mark of the Ninja. That is a good one. I was a big fan on the 360, and feel free to go into any elements of that or anything else we talked about as we get going, and go through the loading. Let's go into that, because I mentioned with the Panzer Dragoon remake, there's issues with loading in that game. This one, I guess, sort of has it too, but not too bad. And in all honesty, they do a little better here, because they give you a little bit of information on the screen as the loading goes, and it's shorter. So in that case, it's fine to that. But there's going to be questions on the tech on this, so I would suggest if you can get this on a system that gives you a higher tech element and still has your shooting element, you might want to run that way. I'd say PS4, because there is move support for it. Fortunately, not VR support, but you still do have that. Although I think those move stuffs for PS4 do cost a bit of money. You have the options for it. And you also get, yeah, the ooh-args of the zombies, who are named. Alright, so let's get going. Shoot when ready, which, based on how I have this set, it is on the ZR button, so the iPlay game gun I have is a perfect way to run this. Alright, Chapter 1, Tragedy. They do get that film reel going on, and the Hold Your Fire. So I always love that. And for the purposes of this, it is worth pointing out that I'm going to be shooting with that ZR button constantly, but I'm also going to want to reload, because you can't shoot outside the screen like the original game, so you hit the B button to do that. And they do give you a very helpful center the reticle option. Pressing on the analog stick, the right analog stick, specifically run that. Mario Ninja's very good stealth game, and that's hard to beat a level without killing anyone. Yeah, it is, but it is very satisfying when you do. Yeah, we're gonna be killing people now. Boom, 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 they're gone. It do get chain going on in the modern element, but here we go. Others are still inside. Save them. Look at House of the Dead 2's elements. How could someone do this? Oh yeah, we'll find out later, but yeah, when you run out of bullets, just reload. Oh, unless you turn it off. Make sure to save the scientists. They will give you bonuses if you save them. And I just barely saved him. Okay. That was lucky. It's not always going to turn out well. And there is Raichu on playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond version. Whoa. Oh, and yeah, that's the other thing, because run Switch. Never know who on my friends list is going to show up. Boom. Okay, so how the modern scoring works. When you have a bunch of enemies there, as well as Sophie over there, you get a bit of a chain if you go in points like that and get double kills and get more points for the purpose of that. Yeah, be careful of the zombie wing dogs. There we go. Here's Sophie.
It's you.
And that is Natalie Rowers, by the way, as Sophie, who also did the voice casting on this game. And before then, she was Katie in the 2006 horror film Before I Wake, as well as Hana in Fatal Effect Sedna. And they're doing a remake of Fear Effect as well. I have that second one on the PlayStation 1, which is an interesting one for sure. And also, she was in the Blair Witch game a couple years ago. But yeah, in this case, yeah, keep going around shooting. And also, here's the other thing. Yeah, that, I think, it's not the Tyrant. It's not Resident Evil. I'll love the names later. He can throw the scientist off the bridge. If he doesn't, you save him. You get health torches. You run out of those health torches, that's a game over. We'll get into the continued stuff as we go along. Sure, yeah, there you go. You get the penta kill. That's definitely what you want to do if you're running on the modern scoring system. We'll also show the classic system as well. And that's the other beauty of House of the Dead. Ooh, also, this mode also, and the main game, gives you the option of half damage for your health torches, where if you get a specific bite, the light will go out, but you won't lose the torch. So in that case, it's a little more forgiving as you go into the house. And with that, yeah, the daily monkeys, yeah, shoot, 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 boom, boom, boom. And try and shoot them out, but as I said, depending on how you play, and that's always been the beauty of House of the Dead, and what I've always loved about it, is that depending on who you save and who you kill, you go down a different path. So it's never necessarily going to be the same as before. Alright, yes, there you go, saved her, alright. I'm going to be, I guess, quoting House of the Dead 2, I guess, a little bit, in the sense of, don't kill me, or don't come, don't come. Yeah, somebody will have to do House of the Dead 2 and any other game in that franchise, so feel free to go into that or any other ones you want to see. I guess we do 2 next. But, yeah, we got this one for sure. Or, here's the other thing. Even though I don't have it, if you want to see the Saturn version, we can see it. It is a bit shoddy, admittingly, and I would be importing that for sure, because it costs a fortune if we're going for the US version. Also, with that guy, look at the exposed area he has. So, yeah, in a lot of cases with the zombies here, you don't necessarily want to just shoot them in the head or shoot too quickly lest you kill her. But she got out and she's okay. And yeah, they'll just pop through. So this is just like a great kind of funhouse case of running through everything with just some great shooting action. And this game definitely does do it justice, despite some of the flaws I'm going to point out with some of the tech stuff at least, I would say. Yeah, if you love House of the Dead, you're going to love this. In fact, I will regale one element to this. When we did the last part of Parasite Eve, which the next part will be next week, by the way, some of the people who were involved on that show and appeared in were huge fans of that game, to the point where I told him, hey, they made a remake of this. And he said, oh my god, they did? I didn't hear. And so he basically went right onto Amazon immediately and bought it, and bought both of the guns for him and his wife to play over the weekends. Like, thank you for telling me about this. I love House of the Dead. Oh, shit! Also, be careful of the chainsaw zombies. What you want to do with them is shoot the chainsaw out of their hands, and also shoot out the barrels. So in some ways, it's not just about shooting the zombies in the head to kill them. So there's a lot of strategy to House of the Dead, which I think is why I've always loved this franchise so much. For something that seems like it's so simple, and it is in the sense of just shoot everything, there's a lot of depth and replayability to it, which I always love. Alright, but there we go. We got that voice again. So we gotta go after Sophie. Alright, boom, boom. Alright, in we go. Alright, you okay, Sophie?
I was so scared.
Alright, we got her. Oh, shit. Yeah, but there you go. There is our boss here. This is Chariot Type 27. What you want to do is shoot him in the chest in that hole there where the bloody, I guess, pustule's coming out. Make sure to shoot him enough so he'll back up. But if he gets too close, he'll slice. So, yeah, don't let that happen. After you cut his health down by about 2/3, he'll go golden, shoot off each area until the gold goes away and then go for another area. And with that, you should be able to be killing him pretty quickly. Alright, got him. Damn. Yeah, so... Yeah, Sophie definitely took quite a hit, no question.
Sophie! You must stop, Kyrian, or else something terrible.
Sophie!
And there you go, that's why it's called Tragedy, as we have all our scientists that were saved. Unfortunately, she was not lucky. I think I played the original then on the PC because this seems familiar. Yeah, because House of the Dead 1 is on the PC, and if you're looking for the original version, that is, and you're like, hey, I want to play that aside from this remake. I mean, the remake's definitely really good, but if you want that original version, the PC is probably the best way to go. It's just a question of being able to run it on a modern system, although, funny story to that before we go to the next chapter, I do have the PC version of Sega Rally Championship, which is ported from the Saturn directly. It runs natively on my Windows 10 machine, and I did not expect that. I mean, that's the case with PC. If you're running PC, you're not always going to have that happening. But with that game, it did. So maybe with House of the Dead, I don't know. And I know with House of the Dead on the PC, you can run it with mouse. So you can kind of replace the shooting a little bit of the gun to kind of get a better setup. And it does look way better than the Saturn version does. That's probably your best option for the original. But from what I've understood with what Megapixel was saying, they tried to use as much of what they could, but they really couldn't use anything. And that was also the other thing with this, because they were actually making this game remotely. They made it during the pandemic for the purpose of that, so maybe they weren't able to do it that effectively, but it kind of necessitated this remake, I guess, a little bit like Panzer Goons was. But yeah, we are going all right, but yeah, Sophie did take the hit, so that is why it's called Tragedy. And by the way, as far as Rogan's concerned, that was Chris Akawa who voices him, who was Alador in the 2009... I believe it's a cell phone game, Soul Hunters, as well as My Eye in Earth Defense Force, World Brothers, and also actually Bill Weasley in the mobile game Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery. Now I'm thinking about it, I think I also played Typing the Dead thanks to GameTap. Yeah, because Typing the Dead was on the PC as well. And I remember GameTap, that's definitely an interesting thing for that. I don't think I ever had it, but it was always an interesting case of being able to have access to games like that. And I do have Typing the Dead on the Dreamcast, and Nocturne said, I want to do Typing in the Dead. We have the ability to do Typing in the Dead because I own it. I have the Dreamcast keyboard and I have the PS/2 adapter so I can plug in the old, circle coaxial connection for an old keyboard in to run 2-player. That's definitely on the table. Let's go on to the next chapter. Revenge. So yeah, we gotta get revenge for what happened to Sophie. And he's the first one there. It's like, yeah, just shoot him against the wall. And I do love that. That's the other thing about this, is that for a game that is so... I mean, you could get the sense of the violence of it, but it also is something that it just feels so visceral in the sense of, alright, also, wait a minute. Okay, what's going on here? Alright, I gotta explain something to this. Actually, I gotta pause this. Because what happened was that, I guess it turned off the gyroscope control. I don't know why that happened. All those memories of Typing the Dead. Well, feel free to let them run. Okay, I want to explain something, because I mentioned there's the idea of being able to control the stick. But for some reason, it stopped using the gyroscope. I don't know why. Alright, it's on again, right? Okay, it is. Good. Yeah, sorry. I want to play it this way. I'm sorry. Yeah, immersion ruined, but whatever. But I guess good news that I shot through the door, because I went that way as opposed to going downwards. As I mentioned, that's the beauty of House of the Dead, and Typing of the Dead as well, because remember, Typing of the Dead was a reskin of House of the Dead 2, but they just said, like, let's just have keyboards going. It's so strange. I was actually telling some people about this today, that they'd either never played it or they questioned the idea of what it was. I said, yeah, they just took this and said, let's turn to a typing game. Yeah, who would Sega would be able to say that, oh yeah, let's do that? Oh no. You okay, man?
Thank you.
Alright, so there it goes. I was talking about GameTap specific. Well, yeah, fitting to that. Feel free to go into some of those other memories of it. I mean, I guess it's probably another way of... It's interesting to go back to that. Thanks for mentioning that. When you think about the idea that, it was kind of an early way of subscription game service, which we have a lot of now, with PlayStation Plus Premium and Microsoft's Game Pass, or Xbox Game Pass as it is. But with that, it was kind of a new thing. I mean, we also had, like, GameFly and things for the purpose of that, being able to have access to that. But, I mean, in the case of GameTap, more like stream, like, hey, you have a PC, you can play it. That's about how I found I'm a Mega Man Upon a Star. Oh yeah, I remember that. I'll put a picture as far as what that is. It is something that I think Nocturne's mentioned to me too. Actually, wait, that's the... anime, right? Or that manga thing? Also, there's a hidden survivor in there. Just shoot that. So that's the other idea of being able to broaden horizons as far as gaming specific. As we're getting the not Freddy Krueger monsters there. Just shoot them out the window. Oh, yeah, it did kind of stutter. That unfortunately happens a bit in this version. I don't know if it's that way in the on the other consoles, but there's something you do have to sort of have with the Switch. Although, given some of the disaster areas that we've noticed on Switch, or that you can see on Switch, I mean, I mentioned It Takes Two. I don't care it's not out yet. It looks like shit on this system, to the point where we talked cloud game before. That's when I'm gonna say this. Maybe they just should have done a cloud for that. Oh, that's the OVA. That's the educational about Japan. Oh yeah, right. Okay, so that was what it was. I knew that idea. In fact, I think I saw that when I was at an anime convention. They had a panel. By the way, shoot that panel there and go across. Otherwise, you go downwards. I remember that being an interesting idea as far as the thought of, I guess, being an educational element about Japan, which you wouldn't necessarily expect out of Mega Man, but given how big a franchise that Mega Man is and was, that it's not necessarily surprising. Oh yeah, get a sense of a region with it. I mean, we sort of had something like that in the U.S. differently. I remember, I think it was something that was on the History Channel. It was called, I'll put a picture of this as well, Inspector Gadget's Field Trip. First I thought, oh, I love Inspector Gadget, the TV show, but then I found out, wait a minute, no, he's just going to all these famous places and giving like a travelogue. So I wasn't necessarily as interested in it as I would have thought, but then again, it was also something that it wasn't bad. It was just not necessarily what I was expecting. People don't call it the Ruby Spears plot. Or Mario's Missing. Oh yeah, that's another one as far as that. Oh, yeah, save her. Alright, thank you. Oh yeah, Mario's Missing. We mentioned Mario's Missing on the show before, which is on the Super Nintendo and the NES and also the PC. And yeah, that's an interesting one. Entertainment Mario. Actually, talk about that. Okay, that's an interesting case of that. Famous figures of, I guess, nostalgia or gaming specifically, and I guess sort of with Inspector Gadget, because Inspector Gadget has a Super Nintendo game by Hudson Soft, who made Mario Party, interestingly enough. But yeah, Mario's Missing is a case of edutainment with game, and same with Mega Man with Pawn Star. Alright, here's Hangman 41, by the way. His weak point is his left breastplate, but what, or, yeah, his left breastplate. What you want to do to start is shoot down the bats. Basically, you want to look for the ones that are flashing in red and move over to quickly, and make sure to use the center on the right analog stick if you have to. Whoa! Make sure to just keep reloading. You're basically going to be hitting, I'll tell you how this version is really working. You're basically going to be hitting the ZR and the B buttons pretty much every few seconds, and then the right analog stick in every so often so you don't do it. And there is an achievement, by the way. They do implement achievements in this version. And also, in this case, you basically want to wait till it gets close to you a little bit, so you hit him really quickly, and then he'll go away. But not always. Sometimes he'll swipe you. Yeah, you have to hit him really quick. So it gets a little bit difficult that way. Also, I gotta raise my gun up. You're not seeing this out here. I'm almost hitting the table. But as I said, I can kind of just move it around. So it's not... Here's the thing also about this game, which is interesting, is that... Forever Entertainment and Megapixel wanted to make a specific light gun for this, but for some reason, either they couldn't get the tech down, or they weren't able to get, I don't know, license for it, or something. I don't know what it was. Also, I got a game over. The way that works, by the way, in this is that you get 10 credits to start. And after 10 credits, you actually have to pay points to continue. So yeah, you don't have infinite continues in this, which is interesting for sure. Or to quote the video game nerd, the things are so hard to get rid of, and also, I hate fucking bats! It's like, oh, hey, fitting for that. Although, honestly, with this boss, the bats are giving the least of your worries, to a certain extent. Although, fine, he's a bat as well. It's like, yeah, you're gonna hate this guy, especially when he knocks you off the building. It's like, oh shit, I'm gonna fall! And you have your hand up there, and yeah, Rogan has the strong upper body strength, so at that point, he's like, yeah, I'm holding on one end, and then as he's coming by, just fire on him. Or try to fire on him, but it's not easy to avoid getting yourself hurt. Right, come on. Yeah, alright, so that's why you kind of want to do that. Yes, we all hate the bats. Yeah, no question about that. But yeah, we're going to take this bat down, don't worry. I got him. Alright, perfect. He's dead. So yeah, his wings have been clipped for the purpose of that. So yeah, we did hate the bats, but yeah, that's the beauty of this game. Just take your gun and shoot him. Alright, but yeah, we're climbing up here, and yeah, time for a cool pose.
We won't let you have it your way, Kyrian.
Yeah, we won't. insert the Burger King King guy right here. I mean, who we saw when we played Fight Night Round 3, for the purpose of that. Also, you do get the little victory music, although as I mentioned, this is not the same music as before. They remade it. You don't hear the yeah, that's how much I love this game, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, we're taking care of the bats and going through pretty well. Actually, I don't know if this is not going to be a very long game, admittingly, but we do have a bunch of extras to it to kind of make it, or give it more life, for the purpose of that. And sometimes that's how it runs with the light gun games, really, where they're not going to necessarily be that long, but there's still going to be a lot of value to it. And I think with House of the Dead, they kind of came up with the way to go about mitigating that, since you have a lot of options for taking different paths, you go down levels. Like, in fact, when we go to the next play of it for the Horde mode, we'll probably see different paths. We go into Truth. Alright, so we're going to get to the truth of what's going on in this mansion. As we're going through the Belfry specifically, and going into the research area. But yeah, oh yeah, so you're getting a little bit of the 3D element as they're throwing the mace balls at you.
It's locked.
Yeah, door's locked, so yeah, we gotta go the other way. Oh, but now we're getting robots. So yeah, what you want to do with these guys is shoot them either in the chest or where the hook is coming out. Yeah, so yeah, it's like, I know where they're gonna come, but sometimes you go down different paths, you're not gonna always see that the same way, but yeah, there's the security card, so alright. I do have also the invisible hands of Rogan, so that's amazing. And that's the other thing I think about House of the Dead in general. We were mentioning Typing of the Dead earlier, which is that this is a franchise that I think Ben Croshaw said it best. Ben Yahtzee Croshaw of the Zero Punctuation Show said it best, which is that this is a franchise that you could take its sense that it's all about, you know, this kind of B horror movie thing, but always seems like it's kind of in on the joke, as we saw with House of the Dead. Also, yeah, shoot the computer there to open the door so it doesn't get hammered. Whoa, shit. But also the fact that they'll make a game like Typing the Dead, like, yeah, they'll be kind of in on the joke with the fact you're going around and you have all of the agents with Dreamcast strapped to their backs and like keyboards right in front of them. Or also another one that I never played this, and I always wanted to, the Pinball of the Dead, which is on the Game Boy Advance, where it's basically a pinball game with this. So it's almost that idea of, yeah, they know what they're doing with the idea of this being this kind of horror thing, but having a lot of fun with it. And same sort of with this remake on top of that. As well as I mentioned some of the other side projects, and I think another one which I think was basically a way of teaching people English for Japanese, or for Japanese audiences. There's a game on the DS, I think like Learning English of the Dead or something. I'll put the name of what it's actually called. But yeah, they have that. We didn't get that. Woo. But I almost wish we would have, just because of the idea of, hey, you know, anything for House of the Dead that's kind of strange. Yeah, give Sega credit for basically doing all of that. And also, I guess, for giving Forever Entertainment and Megapixel the ability to make this remake. Oh, also, yeah, he does have that, so be ready. And doing okay on the score, at least, so hopefully we'll be able to see the good ending. But I think I'll run the different scoring method for Horde mode specific. Alright, keep going. But I think it also goes to one other thing, which is how, when you really think about how influential let's talk about this, how influential House of the Dead really is as a franchise. Oh shit, no! Oh shit! Oh, yeah, I didn't mean to kill her. Yeah, unfortunately you can do that, and you do get penalized for that. Oh. And you do go a different path for the purpose of it, so yeah, instead of going that way, we're going this way. Which is that House of the Dead was an interesting one as far as the fact there are a lot of games that kind of tried to pull off of this. Including, I know there was Touch the Dead, which was on the DS, which is not tied to this. It was not from Sega. It was another company that kind of took that name and thought, hey, this would be cool to have like a first-person shooter on this. Or another one, actually, this would be an interesting one to show off while you also get that hilarious sight of the zombies coming in on the hooks. That's, Rock the Dead, which is on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. It is like House of the Dead, not from Sega, again. Yeah, kind of think of it, why is Typing of the Dead a thing? Yeah, to go into that before going to Rock the Dead, because I definitely want to talk about Rock the Dead a little bit. I don't know. Sega just, I don't know, I mentioned we played Mr. Driller, actually, the idea of, think about the pitch meeting of that, think about most people saying, what the hell is wrong with you for making a pitch like that, you're fired, no way we'd ever want to listen to you again, but Sega said, yeah, let's make this, let's make a typing game with zombies, and they totally run wild with it. What made him do it? I'm gonna see if there's a story specific. I would think maybe, I don't know, maybe the thought of like, I do, oh, yo, yeah, fortunately he pushed him down the laundry chute. Yeah, but he's going down too. I would think maybe because I know Sega has often said that they sometimes want to try branching themselves out with genre. Alright, unfortunately he died, but we're gonna take his secure card, so yoink. I almost wonder if maybe that had something to do with it, but I don't know if that's actually the story. There probably is a story, and I'll be sure to mention that when we get to Timing the Dead itself. But I'll see if I can't find anything and put a link in the link list for the purpose of it. But I'm glad they made it, thank God. I mean, I'll say it, thank God for Sega. You can say that they made a lot of bad decisions as far as company, and that's why they don't make consoles anymore and all that, which is true. Everywhere that's true. But they did take a lot of risks in a lot of ways, and I always did appreciate that. And sometimes with something like Timing the Dead, you think that it's such a brilliant concept. It's such a weird but brilliant concept. You think, like, why didn't anybody ever do that again while I get another game over? But yeah, it's fine for now. But I'm gonna need all of them that I can get for the purpose of the last level. Ooh! Although he has a flamethrower, but I didn't give him time to shoot it. Yeah, so I was also gonna go into, yeah, speaking of another thing, I mean, I don't know why it wasn't Sega who didn't do this one, but somebody took off on this, which was, I mentioned Rock the Dead, which is for PS3 and 360. I don't remember the company who made it, but what it is a light gun shooter that's controlled with the Guitar Hero Rock Band guitar. You play the music, it's not licensed, so we could actually show it. And for the purpose of that, what happened is that you basically use that to kill the zombies. And actually, I think they have Neil Patrick Harris from Doogie Howser and from the Harold Kumar movies and How I Met Your Mother doing voice for it. So it is very interesting to see that, and yeah, I'd definitely be curious to show that as I get these guys down. Oh, and they are bleeding black that way. Yeah, there's a lot of Nemesis knockoffs, I guess from Resident Evil, right? Although, actually, here's the one thing, which is Nemesis was in Resident Evil 3, yes, but it wasn't in the first one, was it? Because if it was, oh, unless it was, I mean, if it was in the first one, Resident Evil was 1996, but Resident Evil 3 was a couple years after this, so if it was Resident Evil 3 that we first saw Nemesis, I thought that was it. Feel free to correct me if that's not right. Yeah, that would be the idea. Although with this remake, maybe they took the idea, so like, hey, look at what Resident Evil was doing. Here's Kyrian in the, I guess the nursery here.
I didn't think you could make it this far.
Yeah, that was Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Yeah, so I guess technically this came first, although this remake came after. So it's interesting to see that, I guess, what a lot of companies are kind of looking as far as their horror elements. I guess Japanese companies like Sega and Capcom. We have Hermit Type 6803. His weak point is the bulbous red on him. Just shoot there to start and keep a distance, or keep him at a distance. I do have the detail in here of the spider webs. It's very creepy. I mean, the Crochet Nerd 64 mentioned his disdain of spiders. I don't know what he'd think of this one, or for that matter, how the arcade game is. Also, in this case, yeah, he'll shoot those out of the bottom of them. Yeah, but basically just keep shooting the head there. You get multiple shots off as long as you stay in the center. As I mentioned, that recenter your shot thing is going to be your best friend when you can get to it. All right. Alright, get back, Spider, get back. Yeah, this is fine. This is probably how the Crochet Nerd 64 would handle Spider. Just pick up a gun and start shooting him, which is fair. Yeah, I get that idea as well. It's like, yeah, whenever I see something as far as, like, if I have run into spiders around my house, or going back to the Angry Video Game Nerd perspective, it's like, spiders! Punch him! But in this case, no, I don't punch him, I just crush the damn things. Although, speaking of, I guess, think about the idea of the, you know, the potential overreaction of, like, a small spider hitting him with a gun, but, yeah, if you get, like, the big ones, I mean, like this, or we mentioned the movie Eight-Legged Freaks, yeah, something like that, but, yeah, you're gonna want to just put every bullet you can into it, but it is dead. I guess we have a thing for killing spiders on the show, as mentioned with the Zelda games, and now with this. Alright, we'll get Kyrian. Oh, he's the one who, unfortunately, did not live to tell the tale. But there we go, we are at the final level. Yeah, this is a short game, but we have a little more going on. I guess this is actually probably going to be our shortest show for a little bit of time, until maybe 2 weeks from now. I gotta get a sense of how long the game we're doing in 2 weeks is. I'll go into that later in the show, but actually it's a game that is fitting to Halloween. It's part of an established franchise, and it is not legally available to own, but hopefully the company who made it, maybe they will listen to the show and do something for it, which is fitting, I guess, because remember how last week I said, hey, we're gonna do I'm waiting on that physical release of Cuphead, as we're at the final chapter of the House of the Dead. They heard me. They're doing it. They announced the physical version's finally on the way. I'm 8-bit is going to help with it. It's coming out on all the consoles, not just Switch. It's PS4 and Xbox One along with Switch, so Xbox One is where I'm running on that one. As soon as they announce the date for it, but yeah, it is coming, so somebody heard it, so hooray. Alright, let's turn the machine on. Alright, so yeah, we're in the energy sector. Yeah, we're going to be running through some of the bosses we saw before, so here is, there's Chariot again, so same deal as before, shoot him in the chest. Oh! Yeah, I mentioned with him... Okay, that was lucky. Okay, that wasn't. Alright, back up. Actually, go back to what you're saying, ElecVerse, as far as the Nemesis thing. Alright, fine, we're using the continue. I guess it would make sense this way, because, okay, fine, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis came out after House of the Dead original, but then again, also the thought of, they're kind of similar in the sense that it's all about zombies and weird creatures being created in a lab, as far as, you know, getting revenge on humans, and I guess people have wronged the villains. So, yeah, a good observation there, thinking that that's a pattern of what a lot of setups with a game like this, and yeah, here we go, we hate fucking bats, so yeah, they gotta die now. Again. I believe this is also how the arcade game is, although honestly I've not gotten as far in the arcade game, despite my loving it. Oh, well. Oh, this is actually the easiest place to get 5 kills if you're running the modern scoring method. Alright, bye-bye. Also, this battle's a little different because you will not do the, you're hanging on the side thing. Ow. In that case, I'm getting the game over. Yeah, I don't want to get to a point where I have to start using my points, at least not yet. Damn. Alright, fine. In that case, just basically wait till he comes and just unload the entire clip into him. Yeah, so there you go. That is your easy way to handle him. Man, watch the flesh be shot off. Yeah, I know. So you do have that element of the violence and also the idea of the visceral element in that sense of, yeah, that's gotta hurt looking at this. And the fact that they did capture that pretty well for the original game, despite the fact that the tech was a little less advanced, or fine, a lot less advanced. Although, for the time, the Model 2 arcade machines of Sega's were really advanced stuff, because it's a setup that ran games like Wave Runner and Top Skater and Gunblade New York, which I do have that on the Wii as well, and Daytona USA, which were state-of-the-art games when they came out and are still great games. As I said, we'll show off as many as we can on the show for the purpose of that, where they have home ports or... Oh, shit. Yeah, I was like, wait, this is stuttering. Why is it stuttering? I see. I don't know if it's doing that on the other system, so... Chad, if you played it on anything else, let me know. Does it do that on the other systems this is on? Or is it just something with the Switch? Although, as I said, given some of the stuff on the Switch that's been really bad when it comes to optimizing... I mean, Crusader64 mentioned one with Mortal Kombat 11. I know there's WWE 2K18. There's a lot of other ones, feasibly, that you could mention. This is still a decent one as far as how it is, and there is a lot on screen, so I do kind of understand it. And this is with performance mode, though, so yeah, that's the other case of it. Alright, we are at the end. Well, almost. Or we go like the Simpsons case. Yeah, look at that flesh fly. Alright, Kyrian, yeah, you're going down.
I must admit, I really respect your consistency.
Yeah.
But you will never, ever defeat me.
Alright, yeah, that's what you think, my friend.
To my masterpiece.
Alright, what is his masterpiece? If not Nemesis, who? Oh yeah, it's this baby. It's sentient is what it is. I don't know if you're hearing this, but the Joy-Cons rumble massively when you're in these cutscenes with the enemies. And when they're shooting the energy ball and killing his master, so bye-bye, Kyrian.
What happened? Why don't you follow my instructions?
You probably should have read the blueprints a little closer. But yeah, okay, we gotta... Yeah, he killed Kyrian, but we gotta take care of him. Alright, this is Magician Type 0. This is the final boss. Here's the deal. Shoot where the pink is. And whenever there's energy balls he shoots, shoot them out of the air and be quick about it. Probably got through a bunch of my continues just going on this boss alone. And it takes a lot of shots to kill him. Alright, come on. Sometimes shoot multiple. You can shoot them out of the air, but it's not easy. Or if you hit them in the hand like that, so at least I'm glad I got to show that part. Whoa. Yeah, I think you can shoot him out, but I think the best thing you can do is try to hit him in the pink area. So that's, I guess, exposed flesh. So you were talking about the flesh idea. Oh, shit. Alright, so that's the game over. Yeah, I do have credits, so I can at least use those. But here's the thing. I do want to at least have... I don't want to lose too many points that way by doing continues with that. Because I need to have at least 62,000 points to get the best ending. I think I can. I'm over it, but as long as I'm careful killing him... Actually, also, he has this attack, which looks like the most intimidating, but it's actually one of the easiest. He basically shoots those geometry figures at you. Just shoot that way, and then just shoot right back. And you know you're hurting him when you get the blood coming off him in your face, I guess, as you getting hurt. Whoa, shit, no! And also, when you see the blood going on, and the health bar going down. Whoa! He does have a lot of health, though, as it mentions. Sometimes he'll rush you, so be ready for that, too. Okay, so I guess you can also sort of shoot him as he's getting ready to throw it. Oh, whoa. So yeah, here's the thing, I guess, about House of the Dead, just to go on this, which is that if you're quick on your trigger finger, you can be alright with what's going on. Yeah, but honestly, as I said, this looks worse than it really is. It's just painful to get hit. Alright, come on, we almost got him. Alright, come on, come on, come on. Or to go to another thing as far as flesh and gaming, thy flesh consumed for Doom. I think we gotta do Doom next year because I realized next year is the 30th anniversary of Doom, so we'll have to do that. Because I have a bunch of versions of that we can play and a bunch of other cases of that we can show. Ooh! Alright, come on. Yeah, I hate geometry, my friend, as far as this. Or fine, I hate your twisted geometry. Yeah, we almost have him. Yeah, in that case, he'll do the dive there. I think he does that when you're at when he has only a quarter of his health down. Come on, come on, come on. Actually, I'm doing way better on this than I thought I was going to. Whoa. Alright, come on, come on. Alright, one more shot at geometry and we'll be done. I think. Okay, fine, one more. I do like this effect, though. It does look really cool. It's like, yeah, yo, those dangerous shapes coming down. Oh. Okay, I guess you might not necessarily even have to destroy all of them. Alright. Yeah, I think he'll only do this now. So actually, this is actually where it gets pretty easy. Alright, boom, boom, boom. Come on. Okay, that was close to me. Alright, one more hit. Okay, got him. He's dead. And we did get the good ending, for the purposes. I will feasibly show off one of the not good endings, which, by the way, how that works is that if you go through the entire game and have over 62,000 points, you get the good ending, which you're going to get. If you have under 62,000 points and the last digit is a 0, you get the bad ending. And if you have under 62,000 points and the last digit on your score is not a 0, you get the average ending.
I have nothing more to lose.
Yeah, alright.
However, I must go on.
Alright, so with that, yeah, I'll send a Magician Type 0 packing.
Goodbye.
Alright, bye, Kyrian. Although Kyrian's in there, so it's like, wait a second, yeah, who's he looking at as far as that? It's like, yeah, Kyrian's body's over in the lab, and, yeah, Sophie is out that. Alright, there we go, that is it. But we're not done. As I said, this is a short game, but we're gonna get more value out of this as we also see this. Here's our file. Alright, so I got leading agent, so actually not bad, considering. And you do get your, enter your name in on the typewriter. Do love this. So let's enter based upon the show. So, short for SuperOldGameSaturday, SOGS, and then hit the start button. Okay, and Captain D-Track as well, which was, I guess, when I, okay, that was the last time I ran it. Alright, so I did way better. So I guess it's that thing I mentioned about the recording curse. You either do really well on your, when you're actually getting recorded, or really bad, or somewhere in the middle. But yeah, there you go. We did pretty well. We'll also look at the creature library and all of the galleries as it goes along, but yeah, that's it. To start, anyway, but that is the House of the Dead remake. We'll see more of it as we go along, but I guess to kind of go to this now, I go in the credits in regards to this. Yeah, this is definitely a faithful remake, and as I mentioned, they are giving the elements to Sega, who did let them license this and make this game. I mean, it's making the best of a bad situation in the sense that, hey, the source code of the original is lost, but you can still get the Saturn and the PlayStation, or not the PlayStation, the PC editions of the original if you want to run it that way. But there's definitely a faithful element of going back to that game, although, as I mentioned, there are technical elements. We'll see that a little more as we go along, because they're going to turn off performance mode specific. So it might be better on more powerful systems, but as I said, the Switch does handle this well enough, and it is something that, yeah, you get yourself your game guns, you get yourself your Joy-Cons ready to go, you get a group of people with you. You're going to have just as much fun playing this game as you would in the arcade, and a lot of replay value because of all the extras you can find in here, the achievements you can unlock, as well as all the nice extras and the different paths. So I definitely do love me my House of the Dead, and I am glad to be able to show off this version. And we'll definitely get to more on this franchise, because, yeah, there's a lot of good ones to be had on it, and a good start as far as our, you know, Halloween element. It's like, yeah, it's weird. I feel like the show is ending after an hour, but it's like, no, I'm not ending the show after an hour. And also, hopefully you're hearing all the audio on this for the game. Actually, it looks like it turned it down a bit. Let me turn it back up. Hopefully it wasn't too quiet. But, yeah, well, actually, no. Oh, wait, no, I think I turned it down. Okay, let me, you know, I'll give you a little bit behind the scenes on this as I go along. Because this is a newer game, like we had with Sonic Mania a few weeks ago. The volume is really loud on it. Even when you have it very low on the capture device that I have, which just for the purpose of that is the Elgato Game Capture HD, so it's kind of outdated, really, as far as the capture I've got. But I've noticed that some newer games really have that loud element. And in this case, I also have the reduced game sound is off, just so you can hear everything with the game as far as how it is. But first I thought, wait, did that change on its own as far as the settings? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, that's just basically what that's all about. Yeah, and I guess next for the Megapixel team, as I mentioned, is going to be the remake of House of the Dead 2, which I guess the question of if that one necessarily needs it as badly as this one. Because this one, as I said, there was not a modern release of this, and the last one was back in 1998. So I get the idea of them wanting to bring this one back, and I guess with 2, although as I mentioned, 2 is on a bunch of systems as well, and this is on basically everything as it is now, so you do have your modern availability of the House of the Dead remake, and to keep the element of this franchise going on, and it's still going on strongly to this day in its way, although mainly a little bit in the arcade, and then with the remakes. And on top of that, as well as the House of the Dead 2 remake, they're going to do the Panzer 2 Zwei remake. Hopefully hear more about that, because it was announced last year, and we didn't hear anything about it since. It's coming. They didn't say it was canceled, but maybe they'll hear this show again, and they'll say, like, okay, here we go. What's going on? By the way, I also got a new kitten who's named after Ripley from Alien. Well, congratulations to you for the purpose of that. Like, get the idea of, you know, having the element of pet that way, because I know you had a strong, you had a tough time with, you know, your other pets passing away earlier this year, which definitely you get that perspective to it. And I've been there. We mentioned that for the purpose of the show, and the idea of that next chapter as far as that with your next pet, but also as I said, having the memories of your other pets coming along. And yeah, you have the stuff with the voice acting for sure on that one. Yeah, of course, feel free to go into elements of that. It's like, yeah, you get the interesting dichotomization of the fact that, you know, probably a cute kitten as well as the purpose of, you know, the House of the Dead game as it is. And fitting, actually, because, Nocturne, when she's been on the show, I don't know if you've heard when we did the Mega Man Legends parts, hearing these weird meowing, or she's like, what was that? Like, that was her cat as well, actually. So we've had that as far as her cat being an impromptu guest on the program. So we've had that element going on as well. And, actually, Dolphin, if you don't mind me just indicating this, there was some rustling you might have heard when we played Tetris Attack last week. That was her dogs. For the purpose of that. The guy who found her named that. So, like, good taste to that. Okay, and here's also the element of the good ending. So there is the mansion. But, okay, Sophie survived. Alright, and she goes off. I don't know which one's canonical. It wasn't my idea of name. Yeah, and sometimes that happens. I've had cases of that where I've had, you know, pets as well, and then the idea of they were not named what we named them, but then sometimes that sticks, you know? And that's been an interesting case for that as well. Actually, interesting case to go to this, the idea that, you know, there's no zombified cats in this game, so like, The cat's getting better off than, I guess, the dogs are concerned. Alright, so... with that, I'm going to run a new campaign. I'm going to show you what the Horde mode is like. Also, I'll tell you one other thing to do. Okay, she's not dead. Yeah, she's not dead if you get the good ending. In fact, in case we don't... depending on what endings we see going on, or if we don't see any, I'll explain what the other ones are, because... here's the thing, it's much easier to get the good ending in this version than it is in the arcade version. Because in the arcade, you have to complete the entire game without continuing to get that ending. That's the best ending. The middle ending, or the kind of neutral ending, is if you get, as I mentioned, in this one, if you get 62,000 points and your last digit isn't a 0, you get that. But in the arcade version, you have to score over 60,000 and continue at least once. In the case of that one, you basically just walk out the mansion, and it's assumed that Sophie is dead, but you don't hear whether or not. And the bad ending is confirmation that not only is Sophie dead, but she's been turned into a zombie. Those were in the original version, and for the purposes, it is easier to run that this way. In fact, I will also show, just I guess, you know, let's make it a little easier, arcade mode for Hoarders. I believe it is a little harder for how they run it. I'm going to run the classic score. Multiplayer is not going to be disabled. I'll tell you why. You're saying, like, wait a second, I'm doing it myself. That's true, but... yeah, we're running Switch here, so I'll have to put this on for the purposes... alright, you know, get my Joy-Cons on for player 1. Yeah, I can do competitive or cooperative. I have 2 of these things, as mentioned last week. That was not a lie. So let's go back to this classic competitive... cooperative. Alright, so worth pointing out one thing. If you're buying this on the Switch... I have it in single Joy-Con mode, and the reason I have it in single Joy-Con mode is so that I can hit the trigger specifically. You also put it in left Joy-Con mode if you want. So you feasibly don't need the game guns to slip them in. It's just a shell. It's kind of like the Wii Zapper a little bit, or the Perfect Shot, which I have for the Wii. So for the purpose of this, hit the L button on the first one. So that's player 1. And then player 2. So there you go. You got the nice orange and purple for the purpose of Halloween. So there you go. And we're all set. Okay, so I have 2 of these damn things now. So I'm basically... we mentioned Evil Dead a little bit last week with Poker Night 2. And one thing I'm going to also announce at some point is we're doing a delisted Xbox Live Arcade game night. And even if it's stuff that I don't have, we'll show demos off at least. That's going to be one of them, because I do have the demo of it. So yeah, going into the Ash for Evil Dead thing. See this? This is my boomstick! So yeah, we're going to have our boomstick. We're going to be playing... I'm going to be dual shooting this way. So it's like, yeah, I have 2 of these now. So I have the 2 guns up here. And this is going to be weird playing this, because as I mentioned, since you have to do this, the resetting the aiming, I'm not going to really be able to do that with one on my one hand and one on the other. But I have the 2 guns. I actually did move the microphone away a very little bit, so I'm accidentally hitting the damn thing. But yeah, in that case, yeah, we're just going to double barrel blast the zombies on this one. And this is how the 2-player works. So, alright, Dolly Finn, as I said, even though you weren't able to be on the show, we're replicating you being on the show. Imagine it's Dolly Finn holding the other gun. But at this point, I'll show you how that works. You can also, as I mentioned, put in to have different colors of the reticles. Yeah, so each of the shoot, ready to go. Boom. You can easily play the game single player this way, if you so desire. Yes, I have purple as far as the hold your fire on player 2. So yeah, we're going to get much more shooty up in this than we were before. Although, the main difference with Horde mode and a regular mode is the fact there are more zombies to kill. Also, since I'm running arcade difficulty, it's going to be harder, and classic mode means it's not going to be easy to get the good ending. But we also have Agent Rogan and Agent G, I should say, doing the slide over the car. But alright, so yeah, both guns, both barrels blasted. Boom, 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 boom. Look at them dying. Also, one other thing I'm going to do, yeah, look, there are tons of zombies here. Okay, fine. There are 2 things to do. Let me hit start, because I forgot to do one other thing. Go in the options menu. Let's hit R, or... oh, wait a minute. I can't do it from here. Can I? Yeah, it says SL is SR, so actually, wait. You know what? I'm going to the main menu. I'll tell you why. Because there's one thing I wanted to do for the purpose of showing this. So, yeah, forgive me for that purpose and me hitting that. And that going white like that, what was that about? Okay, I guess that's that. Okay, alright, so you do have to readjust the Joy-Cons. So this would be a little bit of a annoyance. So, okay, fine. There's one thing I'll do. So let's go in this quickly. So we're going to go in here, going to go to display. Alright, I'm gonna go into... I want to turn off the mute reload. And then also I'm gonna turn off the performance mode. Alright, so let's go. I'll start a new game. It'll overwrite the one we tried to start before. Classic mode, cooperative. Alright, lock him in again. Alright, come on the other Joy-Con. Come on, come on, come on. Alright, so back to this. Because I at least wanted to show this difference, which is how it runs in performance mode and what happens when you're hearing the reload every 3 seconds. And also hear how much more reserved it is when you're running as G. Because G is always going to be player 2, by the way. I guess the other good thing about a loading screen, you get to have a drink of water for the purpose of it. Alright. Let's go. And as I mentioned, they give you hints on these loading screens, so it's helpful that way. So you can destroy stuff around because there's items in there. And reload your gun frequently. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, now we can start shooting. Yeah, so with performance mode off, it is a bit brighter. It still does have a little bit of pop-up, a decent amount of pop-up, as you're running over the toad that way. But the performance mode, I know, uncaps the frame rate, I think, so it is trying to go for 60 FPS. It's not going to hold it, admittingly, on the system. This one's going to go a little higher and look a little better, but alright, fine. Yes, there you go, you hear the reload. But it is running a little slower, a lot slower. But yeah, the zombies are going to die, and this game does love its bloom effects, by the way, when you're outdoors. So it does look a little washed out, but still, like, here we go. I mentioned, with Horde mode, you got more enemies to shoot, so shoot, 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 shoot. And they're all gonna die. Yeah, we'll see how this goes when I'm, doing the double bullets there. Whoa! Alright, so they're not living yet. It also is running much choppier, but as I said, I'm showing this off to show off the full element of this game. Boom, boom, boom. You are getting your great shooting action. I guess with player 2, I guess I do have the ammo on the cursor, so at least I'm glad it showed up. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it is weird holding 2 of these at once. Alright, come on. Okay, yeah, I already have a game over. So yeah, that's how this is working. We'll see how far I go. And actually, by the way, also to go to the thing with the scoring, with how the continue works. If you don't have enough, after you go through your 10 credits, you then have to pay in points to get a continue. And damn, look at all these zombies here. See, if you love sort of like Left 4 Dead, you're gonna be in heaven here. But yeah, when you run out of that, you then have your score. But alright, there's...
It's you.
Yeah, it is me, but it's also, okay, so I guess we're gonna assume that both G and Rogan got knocked to the ground. So I guess G can't grab on. Actually, in the arcade version, I always would like to shoot him down, or try to shoot him down, but it never worked. Come on. Yeah, this is definitely not the most optimal way to play with two sides of it, but yeah, in this case, you just kill everything. Yet also, with Horde mode, it's harder because of the fact that you have, 2 shots. Alright, stop. Okay, fine. In that case, I'm kind of glad he got thrown off the bridge. We'll go down and, yeah. See, I'm crossing the crosshairs. Where is he?
This is terrible.
Oh, right, I forgot. Yeah, that one. This is terrible. Which I love that, for sure. In this case, we'll go down this way. So if nothing else, it's also going to be that question of, okay, fine, we're going a different path. But yeah. Also showing the idea of, hey, when they're shooting the axes out, shoot it right out of the air. Well, be careful with the frogs. Yeah, the deadly frogs. Ah. Yeah, okay, yeah, it is very choppy, for sure, for this. So, yeah, if you're going to play on the Switch, you probably want to put on performance mode. I mean, it doesn't really look that much worse, I guess, but it's a little more stable. And, as I said, maybe the other versions run a little better. Alright, yeah. Yeah, so you have to, for this, I kind of have to stop shooting in order to go. Yeah, he's just running away. He's like, yeah, you're never going to catch me. Yeah, we're getting definitely hatred of bats, because damn, look how many bats there are in here. Yeah, I don't even think Hangman had this many. Alright, stop. You'll just see how far I go, really, on this. Actually, I think you're sharing coins on 2-player. At least I think you are. Oh, shit, no! Alright, he's going away. I was thinking of how House of the Dead 2 does it, which is, no! No! But it's like, yeah, they're going after, no! Yeah, so if you want your in-your-face element of zombie killing, here you go. This is it. Boom, boom, boom. Actually, I do like the Horde mode in the sense that, hey, it is going to be challenging your shooting skills even more, but in a lot of ways it also is about the fact that it's going to be overwhelming you in numbers. But the idea that, hey, it is something different for the purpose of running this. And I think you can find different weapons, but honestly, whenever I play this game, I never find them. So I don't know necessarily where they are if I'm just, you know, not effective in finding them. Alright, yeah, stop it. Yeah, you're also hearing the reload constantly, so, yeah, after you, my friend. Actually, this is interesting because I've actually never played the 2-player in this, whether myself or with other people, or in this version, I should say. So it's interesting to show that, if nothing else. Whoa! Yeah, so in that case, yeah, oh, yeah, so, yeah. Yeah, Rogan and G are not lasting long, specifically this way. Oh. Yeah, stop it. Oh, killed. Did he kill him? I fortunately killed it. Stop it! Alright, yeah. Actually, I think those are some of the scientists I haven't found. So, yeah, unfortunately, that also goes to one thing, which is, in the gallery, you do get an option, or you do extras if you get all of the survivors saved. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all the survivors saved, unfortunately. I mean, I could feasibly justify a return to this at some point to show all that off, maybe mixing it with something else. But, yeah, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to get to that point now. Nothing else, you are seeing different elements of the mansion. And, hey, when I get a game over for this, I'll probably just go in, run through one more time, and we'll see what ending we get. Alright, come on. So, as I mentioned, I also have it on arcade mode, which I do know is harder. Oh, oh. Yeah, it's weird, because I do have the guns are kind of... Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so it did the thing again with, Okay, buy extra credits, by the way. Hit the Y button to do that. Okay, so, yeah, I don't know... Here's the thing. It did go to the, you know, move the, to the move with the stick thing again. Alright, I think I got a game over. Okay, fine, yeah. Rogan died. Yeah, apparently the thing with the stick... I don't know what happens with that. Alright, fine, we're dead. I amazed we lasted that long. And it does show you, by the way, your path through the mansion. So yeah, in that case, you go this way, that way, and... Okay, they do show you dying. Okay, awesome. Alright, so that is a game over. Yeah, I love also in the loading screen, they do show Sophie as far as one of the things. Alright, but you do have to, unfortunately, switch back to the stuff with the Joy-Cons each time. I'm not going to do that again. I am going to go into options. I'm going to turn off the performance mode, or put the performance mode back on. And now we'll do one more run through. Actually, we'll use the Horde mode again. Arcade difficulty, classic, disabled, and run again. Alright, and I think in this case, then that'll take us to a good perspective for this. Because I guess just to go into this, I've run into cases where it's like, wait a second. Are we going to be done with the game too quickly? Then I thought of, okay, if we have more that I could show feasibly, we'll do that. And we'll also show the gallery off for sure. Or as much as of it that I have. Yeah, in the meantime, feel free to go into more on what you got on House of the Dead, or anything else gaming-wise you got on your mind, or anything else. You can definitely go into it. Yeah, it was definitely interesting to try to do the 2-player element of this. So it is easier with one Joy-Con, but as I mentioned, the idea of having one set of Joy-Cons and one gun on your own. But like, hey, when you have a bunch of people with you or have a friend, and you can skip this by the way, that's when you want to have it. Come on. Yeah, you still do have more of the enemies to kill on Horde mode as it is. Alright. So let's try saving them. In fact, you know what I think I'll try to do is... Since that path did give me extra survivors to save, I'm going to try and run that. Congratulations on the new kitten. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. Oh, stop! Because there's something to be said about that for sure, you know, that idea. It definitely is an exciting time, for sure, for the purpose of that. Oh, damn. Also, I guess that goes to another question. You know, let's go into this, because, and I've mentioned this a couple times on the show. The idea of when do pets of ours react to games? Or movies, or anything, really, or television. Because I know, actually, a lot of my dogs growing up, I mentioned this before, and I'm already in bad case with getting myself hurt. I've already lost 2 lives. We'll see how long this lasts then. A lot of my dogs from my past actually watched television a lot. They'd bark at dogs, they'd bark at animals, they'd kind of whine or something at certain things, and damn, they are just dogpiling me. So the idea of, like, what is their reaction going to be specific for that? And sometimes it creates some interesting stuff. I mentioned that with Shenmue, I mentioned that with Metal Gear Solid 2 to a certain extent. In fact, when we play Metal Gear Solid 2 next year, I'll go into that again. Usually, like, the guards, whenever they say stuff like, who's there? The dogs would think there's somebody at the door and they'd start barking. It was like, every time I did that, they did that. I was like, I couldn't even say that. Or I tried to vary it up a little bit, like, with saying, what was that just now? Which, I guess was a little better, but I think they even caught on to that, too. So it was always a funny thing. It depends on the noise. Okay, so, Dollyfin, you have your element. You know what, I'm letting him get tossed because I want to go down that way. Alright, yeah, so he's dying either way. With my 2, it varies. Yeah, I mean, yeah, feel free to go into that, for sure, if you'd like, for it. Because sometimes it can be... Yeah, I'll tell you, here's the other thing. Because not all of my dogs are like that. In fact, I mentioned my late German Shepherd a couple times when we played Parasite Eve, actually. And one thing that was interesting with her is that she would react to some things on television, and there is a hidden torch there, by the way. So it does pay to destroy elements in the environment to see what might be around. She usually, here's an interesting thing, she would react to certain things on television, but not everything. In fact, I remember my brother, this was, I think in 2001 about. She was sleeping in his room. He was watching Gladiator. That was one of the first DVDs I believe he ever bought. Which, have you ever seen Gladiator by Ridley Scott from 2000? The idea of, you know, they're going into the arena. Oh shit. And again, another game over. The idea that she was watching the movie, but when they were getting the really violent parts, she was very slowly blinking, not really reacting. It's like, yawn, I've seen this all before. She's not fazed by the violence, so I don't know if she'd be necessarily fazed by House of the Dead specific, as far as that. I'd say with that, it's animals or high-pitched noise tend to pique the attention of my colleague. Oh, shit. Oh, okay, because I didn't save him. I wonder what that's going to do. Will I go down the same way? Okay, fine, I'll go down the same way, sort of, but just not in the same order. Yeah, so, okay, interesting distinction that way as far as high-pitched sound, the idea that, hey, they'll react to it, and when will they be down with something or not. Stop! Also, by the way, also to show this, the difference between the modern and the classic scoring is that you don't have the change in classic scoring. Basically, every time you do a hit on zombies, when they die, you get points. The other call we had used to run towards the television. Okay! Also, this is something different that we didn't see, these little, I guess, creatures here. Ooh! Leeches. Oh! Oh, so in that case, the thought of, like, would they necessarily bust the television? I mean, fitting, we're talking about motion control stuff, because, like, the Wii, there was always the thought of, hey, you throw the Wii remote into the television by accident. I mean, people did that right away, so, like, use the wrist strap, and I'm always the one saying, like, no, I can hold the damn thing, but still, the question of, hey, I'll be far enough away to do it. Yes, so an interesting concept of the thought, like, I guess maybe your dogs would think that, hey, you know, they'd know not to go crazy in terms of doing that. Okay, he goes up. Okay, so this is not the way I went before. Oh, but yeah, here he is. So it does show you, as I mentioned, the fact you go take different paths through the mansion. And was a continuous left and right for this. All right, yeah, stop. Yeah, it is an interesting thing for that. I guess when are pets of yours going to react to something and when are they not? I guess what's one of the funniest stories you might have for that? As I mentioned, I had a couple. I mentioned with Shenmue the idea that whenever you go and play the pool game, he says, like, how about a game? Game? And they always tilt their head saying, like, yeah, we're going to play something. It's like, no, we're not playing something. I have to remind that. Or the thing with Metal Gear Solid 2. And then the Gladiator story, I guess, in terms of that. Which is interesting to see that. Actually, to the point where, actually, I remember one case I had. Some of my dogs, they would watch TV in some ways, to the point where whenever there was a dog on TV, they would go nuts about that. And I remember, I think we had, like, the animal crate, specifically for, like, taking the vet and things like that. I remember I put, like, a blanket over one of them, so, like, yeah, you know, we're watching a movie that has dogs in it. They won't see it, hopefully. But then they heard the sound, and they're still barking outside of it. So I was like, okay, fine. That was the idea. Or actually, I guess, to go to the cat element, because ElecVerse is the one who kind of spearheaded this conversation this way. The idea of... I remember there was a thing on America's Funniest Home Videos that was, like, the cat reaching out at the bird in Duck Hunts. And I think, actually, the Angry Video Game Nerd did, like, a parody of that at one point as well. Our dog was howling at someone playing the violin as if it was a wolf. So the idea is, like, you know, them... what's going on here? Or, okay, I guess we... Okay, that was weird. That took a while to transition to that. Alright, so the idea they're singing to the music, I guess, feasibly, or kind of like howl or bark at the moon or something like the Ozzy Osbourne perspective, or just saying, hey, you know, howling at the music in the midnights, or something like that. Whoa, yeah. Okay, how did I not get hit by that? Oh, whoa. Yeah, I'm almost running out of continues or coins. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of the long way to come in here. Oh shit! Oh, sorry. Alright, so it does take us eventually to the same place. So, I mean, as I said, you do have the different paths, but they will usually get you back to where you're trying to go, usually. Come on, come on, come on. The pitch spurred him on, I think, to do a howl. I mean, fitting that, the idea that, you know, a lot of animals tend to be more in tune with high pitches. I guess that's what they call, like, the whistles, like, for training dogs or animals, like, they'll recoil to that. So at that point, it'll play differently to them for the purpose of that. I guess maybe that was what it went with some of the stuff for games that I was mentioning, as far as reactions. Oh, or animals that way, because, like, hey, they know that. All right, yeah, so buy credits with points. So, all right, we'll see how far we get. I think that's it. Okay. Also gonna show you this, the fact that it's rumbling like crazy.
I was so scared.
Yeah, you're probably feeling that on the mic. That's basically me putting that on. And then, yeah, Sophie getting slammed into the side by you. But, like, okay, the bosses won't change, by the way, on Horde. At least I don't think they will. So as long as you still use the same tactics we saw before, you'll be fine. I believe every quarter health that you drain off, he'll do that axe. Just stop! Or the roar out. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Actually, I'm not giving him time to do the reload thing. But yeah, you're hearing it every few seconds. I think people are saying, like, hey, it's too much. Hence why they give you the option to turn it off. Yeah, poor Sophie. Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, we did save her, technically, without knowing that she lived. But yeah, you're right. Sophie has taken the hit, no question. With this, I guess the Dolphin, as I said, since you were going to be on this show, feel free to go into your memories on House of the Dead in this way. It's like, fine. Since you couldn't be on the show physically this way, it's like, the floor is yours to go into elements of House of the Dead. Well, yeah, I got a lot of the scientists killed, unfortunately. Yeah, ouch. It is an ouch case, and that's the other thing about that. In fact, even ElecVerse was saying that when we played it about an hour ago, or got to this point an hour ago, saying that, man, it looks like it hurts, or saying, like, yeah, it's that's gotta hurt feeling. So you do get that, I mean, if nothing else, it gives you that visceral element as far as the violence in a game with this, and that also includes the arcade game, even with the primitive graphics, or more primitive graphics it has, compared to this, you still get that weight to it, which I guess, in a lot of ways, I'll tell you, I think a lot of the arcade shooting games of Sega's tend to do that. Like Virtua Cop, which I do have Virtua Cop on the Saturn, I can show that. I don't have the way to show the gun effectively, but I can show it without it. And then also, Gunblade New York and LA Machine Guns, we'll definitely show that off. This game was fun in the arcade, yeah, no kidding. I'm with you all the way on that one. Oh, stop! It's insanely fun. I used to play this game like crazy whenever I ran in the arcade. Oh, yeah, we'll show it going down. Yes? Yeah, we'll go down. Okay, so if nothing else, I'll tell you what this play is going to be doing. It's going to be showing the different paths that you can go down, if nothing else. At the time, there weren't a whole lot of shooters in the arcades, or, I guess, Also horror shooters, because you mentioned Carnival from Midway last week, which I love putting the edits in for Tetris Attack for it. And if we're ever going to show that, I'd have to get MAME set up on my PC, I think, to show it. Because there's no actual specific way I could actually show it, unless they do a revamp of it or a remake like this. I mean, that might be an idea to it. Or if I get the Killing Floor game, or horror shooters, yeah. Actually, going into this, because I looked into that for the purpose of the thing with Carnival. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Dollyfin or Chad in general, Killing Floor. They're, I believe, first-person shooters. They are horror-themed, sort of. From what I've understood, they kind of were based on... It was themed after Carnival, apparently. Not officially, but it's almost like a spiritual successor in terms of like how it feels, even though it's kind of a different game. And made 2 of those Killing Floor games. That might be our other way to look at it. I mean, there was stuff like Deer Hunt and things, but like this, not as much. I mean, and let's talk about that as far as some other early arcade shooting games. Because this was 1996, as you mentioned, there was Virtua Cop of Sega's, which, as I said, I have the Saturn version of the first one, I have the Dreamcast version of the second. There was Lethal Enforcers, which is by Konami, which is on a bunch of systems. I mentioned Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is by Midway, and there are ports of that have mouse support, specifically on the Super Nintendo. So that'd probably be the easiest way, or the most effective way to show that one off. But the idea of, okay, what were shooters really like? And when you think about the Model 2 stuff of Sega's, especially with Virtua Cop as well, when that started, the idea of, hey, stuff like this looking really realistic. I mean, you mentioned, like the Deer Hunt stuff, and there's a couple of variances of that on the Switch, which actually I think they made the holsters for more than House of the Dead, as I mentioned, because they're playing a gun, I guess, for this that never happens. Or for this version, I should say. And also the idea of the dark humor with something like Carnival. Yeah, and this game, too, because we mentioned where this went in all these weird directions. I was looking back as far as how Carnival is looking, and also put, for the purpose of this, an edit in, or the link list in for this one, showing the footage of that game being played, because I did realize that, hey, it was kind of going for, like, you know, the spooky haunted house vibe a little bit. Almost like if you've ever seen the movie Fright Fest from a couple of years ago, the idea of the spooky amusement park. I guess when you think about the idea of games like this where they're all on rails as far as the shooting, whether it's this, or whether it's Carnival, whether it's Virtua Cop, or even, actually, most games like this, really. There is something to be said about the idea. It almost is like the Carnival Funhouse in that way, or the haunted house element, which I guess is what plays to why people would really like to go to it. And there's some, I mean, to be fair, there's some games that have, like, movement and, like, the light gun shooting like this, because I know, Time Crisis 4, I know, has a mode like that. That's on PS3, and that's one that we could feasibly show up. Or the idea of a Dark Carnival. Yeah, that's true, and I think that shows, if nothing else, the idea of what the milieu of your game can be. We talked that idea. I sound fancy, maybe, or pretentious by using the word milieu, but it's like, well, that being the idea of the setting of what you're telling, whether it's a story of any kind or any media. But just the idea of what atmosphere does that put you in, what's the feel it gives you when you're playing. The idea of, oh shit, look at these weird, you know, worms on my bed, they need to die. Or I'm in a dark carnival, the stuff with, like, clowns and things trying to spook me out, going, it's like, no, they need to die. Or the things with the chainsaws, you think about stuff like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or, like, we're just mentioning Resident Evil, with the idea that there's elements of, like, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, or Nightmare on Elm Street there, with, the not, Freddy Krueger, zombies there. So it is interesting as far as setting that mood, or even the idea, like, yeah, there's the fish there, but... Oh, you can bypass the monster that's in the closet. None of that.
Reload. Thank you.
Yeah, get going. You'll be fine. I think that's what... I'll tell you, I think... feel free, Chad, to go into this if that's what you're thinking, or if you agree with this or don't agree with this. The idea that, you know, maybe that's why we have attachment to, I guess, light gun games specific. I'll drop down.
It's a dead end.
Yeah, it's just, let's go down in this case. Oh. But just the idea, maybe that's why we have such an attachment to any game like this or anything else. Alright, fine, I'm dead. Alright, so let's see where I stopped. I always did love this, even in the arcade, to basically just wait to get a sense of, okay, where did I go, what path did I take, and where did I end up? So I got past level 1, went to the right. Nice, and I dropped dead right there. So there's something to be said, as I mentioned, about the idea of that atmosphere, and you're right, I'll say this with, like, House of the Dead, I mentioned all those other shooting games. Fine, we'll go... Fine, we'll run Horde, we'll run Modern for this. Actually, let's show G off. And, let's go back to Revenge. Why not? Fine, we'll pick up where we left off that way. So that's the other thing. Unlike the other releases of this, you can just go back to the level you had. But yeah, you're right. As I mentioned, some of those other light gun shooters that were there, and I mentioned Gunblade New York and LA Machine Guns, they really weren't tapping into horror that much. And I guess horror in-game was kind of starting and fitting also, like first mentioned, Super Metroid earlier on. That's a different kind of horror at home, but with this, and we'll probably go on this the whole month, because we're doing horror stuff the entire month, as it is, that it was different to see that in the arcades, and when you did see it, I guess people sometimes didn't know what to say about it. I guess with House of the Dead, the thought was, okay, what is this? Carnival sort of was a little bit. And there's also another one, I'll put a picture of this. A game called, this predates any of those. And this is a light gun game too. Chiller. Which is on, it was an arcade game, but it's also on, they made an NES port. Actually, it's an NES port that is unlicensed. Nintendo did not license it for release. The company that put it out, I'm trying to remember the name of what they are, but there'll be a name below of what they are. They put it out without Nintendo's permission, and it is this very gory game in the sense that you're going into torture chambers, you're seeing people getting their eyes, stuck out with nails or put down on, like, a board of knives or something. And it was early for that, and I remember when that was out in the arcades, the thought that it was a limited release, I think, and I never saw it around in the arcades I was in growing up, but the thought that I guess parents were kind of complaining about that, saying like, hey, what is this? This is a horror vibe, but it's also something that maybe it's too much as far as a public display. In fact, Dalvin, let's go back to something you mentioned when we played Midway Open Treasures 2. You said, hey, I remember being there when Narc came out, and parents were complaining, saying, hey, it's really violent, and the question about the drug element. And I think Chiller was kind of around the same time, I think. So the question of, okay, fine, people were questioning that game as far as something dark and, twisted, especially for that time, and I guess with House of the Dead, I don't know necessarily if House of the Dead really had... correct me on this, chat, if this is not right. I don't remember there really being controversy in House of the Dead itself. I mean, as far as a game. I mean, I know there's controversy with the second one in the sense that when they brought it home to the Dreamcast, Sega didn't want to put the gun support in the US version because it came out about 5 months after the Columbine Massacre. So what happened was that the Japanese version has gun support. The US version, they actually went in, they disabled the gun support. They also made it that they said it can't even use the gun that came out in Japan, which is surprising because I know the Dreamcast gun from Japan is apparently a very accurate one, and most of the other ones really were not. Like, really were not, as in they barely worked even at the time, and apparently might not even work well now. But I don't know if people saying, like, House of the Dead itself was a problem. That was just a sense of Sega saying that we don't know about the genre itself putting that out. But with House of the Dead, I think, and same with Carnival, that maybe the thought was, more about, I guess, not sure what to make of it, but it's standing out. People remembering it still after all these years, because it's been about 25 years for Carnival and about 26 for this one. And there was Dio Loctus, by the way, who was playing Splatoon 3. So yeah, that's the other thing, yeah. Just keep seeing people popping up on friends lists. Oh, shit. I mean, fitting, I guess, with Splatoon 3, because Splatoon 3 is a shooter, although a different kind of shooter. It's a paint shooter in the sense that you're covering the area and trying to get as much of a coverage for your team as possible. I've not really played Splatoon. Chat, feel free to go into what your takes on Splatoon are. It looked interesting as far as what it was, but just one I never got around to playing. I heard it was fun. I believe it did have, like, a motion control element, kind of like this, a little, but not exactly that it's an on-rails thing. It's more like a third-person perspective as far as how it's running. Alright, yeah, die, zombies. Alright, I got the pentakill, awesome. Oh, yeah, speaking of, like, the haunted house thing, like, surprise, boom, that pops up, and then, there you go, boom, you're dead, too. Alright, come on, come on, come on. I'm doing a little better this time, if nothing else. Actually, if nothing else, I do want to try and see if I can't get another ending. At least, just to show that off. Oh, damn. Oh, and there's Nocturne. Yeah, she's playing Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Alright, so there's, almost to that. Alright, okay, saved her. Awesome. So yeah, Nocturne's on the show without being on the show, so there you go. I said, if you're on my friends list, you end up playing something on Switch, who knows, we could be watching you. It sounds really creepy, but, yeah, she's, down with that. Right, like, okay, go ahead. Saved him that time. So, like, last time he died, it was like, alright, fine, no. They're still upstairs, but alright, let's go. Alright. Alright, so back with you. And unfortunately, you can't save the scientist that, Hangman is holding on to. Also, by the way, I probably should mention who voices, what's his name? Who voices, G in this one. It's Charlie Weirrock, who is Jake Watson on The Newsroom on HBO. As well as, a Muffin in Primary Colors. So yeah, it was interesting to see some of the voice performances on this one, and also, I guess, with the original game, of what I could find, anyway. Of which, the only real voices I found for the original arcade game were, Lynn Harris, who voiced Sophie, who was actually also a Headshock in, Mega Man ZX Advent, as well as, we're talking Resident Evil, Rebecca Chambers in Resident Evil 1, as well as, Sarah Bryant in the first couple of Virtua Fighter games. And also, Claris in Knights. Because we sort of played Knights before, and we'll have reason to go back to Knights itself again. And then for, every other character, and that's, I guess, Rogan, I guess G, it was, Michael Guion in the original version, who actually, you're going to see this, he was, Harry, the main character in Silent Hill, the first one, as well as the announcer in Ridge Racer. At some point, we'll definitely get to Ridge Racer, because I've been wanting to get to that eventually, at some point. As well as, Dracula in, Symphony of the Night, or Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is fitting for the game we're going to be playing in 2 weeks, which is not that one, but, we'll go into that in a little bit. Oh, shit. Alright, come on. Yeah, I should be using the trick I was using before, which is when he's coming to me, just unload on him. But, yeah, okay, that's, oh, I'm glad I got to show that, because that's one thing I will say about this version. There are times when the hits they make don't necessarily look like they hit you. Not horribly, but the question is that maybe it's a little quick as far as, like, when they hit you, but also because I guess they have different elements of how they can hit you. Because they could sometimes just drain your lantern a little bit, or your life lamp a little, but not entirely. Alright, come on. Usually the bosses, I think, we're gonna just take it out entirely. Come on, come on, come on. It's coming to the blue light. Also, one other thing to mention is you can shoot them from a distance, but sometimes you might not get too far. Yeah, except in that case, where like, yeah, fine. He's dead. Again.
Better be ready, Kyrian.
Alright, yeah, we were definitely gonna be ready. Yeah, so I guess to go into, Trasted 2, we will not suffer like G did. We will, take, down everybody that's going on. Okay, so, let's see what else is going on. Actually, alright, I'll go into one other thing, which is, yes, we did just fight Hanged Man. Saga voices him, as well as Kyrian. It's, Brian Connor. Although, actually, interesting enough, that's the only performance I think he's given. So I don't know if there's anything else to him that maybe I missed, or that was all I could find. But, yeah, that's what's going on with that. Alright, back into the, attic. But yeah, as I mentioned, because we're running Horde mode, the idea you're gonna have more enemies here. So, nothing else, you have a lot to kill. And I do have a high point value, which is actually probably gonna be good, because I'm probably gonna get game over soon enough. Alright, boom, boom, boom. One thing I guess I've noticed also about this level is that you don't necessarily have as many paths going through this as the first two, but you'll still have a decent amount. Because this case is mostly going to go down the same way when we first come in.
This must be the security card.
Alright. Yeah, it's still fun, is it? Even though I've been playing this game not particularly long, I guess, tonight, I'm still having a blast, even as far as how it's been just playing it. I mean, just like the arcade game, as far as how it is. Or how it was and is. Because I do have a retro arcade near me that does have a machine of this. So in that case, it's the question of, okay, yeah, I get to go over there feasibly and play it. Because I guess that's the other thing, is that usually a lot of cases, and maybe this is why I also go into the idea of, you know, arcade machine or arcade ports and having those. I guess maybe the idea of re-releases with it. I had a blast last week with it. With this game, or with, what we played last week? Shit. Oh, shit. Alright, okay, so I guess I got a couple continues still. I thought I was running out. But I guess that's the other thing. Oh, it was with this one. Oh, right, okay, because you played it. Oh, right, because I was showing you this as well for the purpose of that, for, I guess, the potential preparation for this. So in that case, you do have experience with the remake on top of the original, to get a sense. And also, yeah, more spiders, so yeah, kill them. Yeah, this is for the Crochet Nerd 64, as it mentions. Like, I know he hates the spiders, but yeah, they're going down. Although, interesting thing to that, because he loves this game as well. He plays it all the time when he goes to some of the arcades around my area, too, that have this. He adores this game. I mean, I think it goes to the idea of, as he mentioned sometimes, the idea of, like, when does the horror element kind of get to him and where he really likes it. I think it's like that. It was like being in an arcade. And I think that's probably the strongest, you know, statement you could say about this game, and I guess the strongest thing you can say about the people who made it. The idea that they clearly understand, or understood, what is the idea of, you know, the feeling of this game. And same, even though it wasn't an arcade game specifically, with the Panzer Dragoon remake that they made, the idea of the memories and the feelings that people get from playing this game, the idea of thinking that, hey, you know, we can't direct port this specific, or they weren't able to get elements going to it. And they said apparently legal elements with stuff with the audio, which is weird. You'd think that, oh, wait a minute, they get the license from Sega, it's enough. Oh shit, I'm sorry, they're killing her. But fine, I do pay for it in the sense that I go down a different path for it, so it's like, yeah, your actions do have consequences that way. I think that's kind of the strongest thing. You get the sense of saying, like, hey, we're gonna remake this, but to get the sense of, this is something that's for the people who know this, but then also bringing new audiences and getting a sense of, yeah, people who've been playing this saying that, oh yeah, this is just like going to the arcade, it fits perfectly. Also, it looked like that one zombie just appeared out of nothing. Yeah, I love how he's just kind of waiting there in the background till the other one, you know, gets everything set. He's like, yeah, you take care of him, and then I'll throw the barrel instead of throwing the barrel at the same time. Alright, yeah. Bye-bye, spiders. So as I said, that is the best compliment piece you can pay to this, the idea that this feels like playing in the arcade, for sure, and it captures that as much as they can capture it for not being 100% the same version. And that way it's definitely a worthy remake. I need to save him, at least this time. Yeah, thank you for the card. So in that case, we say, like, no, we don't have to go down the slide. I think it also goes to the interesting thing, I guess, with remakes. I mean, we could also talk about this, because actually, since Resident Evil came up, Resident Evil has had remakes going on all over the place, because they've remade a bunch of them so far. They remade Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and they're remaking 4. Which seems weird, because, like, they've ported Resident Evil 4 all over the place, and I adore Resident Evil 4, so I'm definitely curious to see what the remake's gonna be like. But the thought of, yeah, in those cases, I don't think it's that they can't necessarily remake those, at least, or I don't think that's what's going on with those. But the idea that those kind of have different feels to themselves as far as what they're doing, whereas this one, it's kind of more in line of saying, like, fine, we're following the blueprint of what the original is, while also having a couple spins with it for the purpose of it, and fitting in well with the other ones. As we mentioned, there are tons of offshoots of House of the Dead, and this feels like it's a perfect fit with all the other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, Scarlet Dawn, Overkill, Typing of the Dead, the English of the Dead, or whatever it's called, Pinball. And it does show the idea that, yeah, this is clearly a great horror franchise. When you think maybe great horror franchise in gaming, you sometimes think Silent Hill, you think Resident Evil, and maybe some other ones, maybe like Dying Light or something like that, or Left 4 Dead, amongst others. Yeah, House of the Dead is definitely one of those, and it is interesting to get that sense out of Sega, as far as getting that idea going. But yeah, we're getting rid of the Nemesis creatures as well. Yeah, somehow doing pretty well on this, despite the fact that I've run through so many lives. Okay, I might get the good ending again. I kind of don't want to, because I want to show something else to it.
Compliment you. I didn't think you could make it this far.
Which I ask, why not? I just made it that far about an hour ago.
Let's see how good you really are.
Alright, let's do it then. Alright, so back with Hermit Type 6803. As I mentioned, the bosses don't change for Horde mode, which I guess is maybe a little bit of a disappointment, but I guess the question is like, oh, and I guess it goes to one other thing, and we mentioned this remake sometimes, the idea of how much do you change for a remake and then make it so that people are still going to go with you when you make those changes. And for that matter, when is it when you go radically different that it's something that people then really like as a part of it? In fact, since Nocturne popped up on the show, on my friends list this way for it, I'll go into one of her favorites, which is the Final Fantasy VII remake, where she, A, likes it better than Final Fantasy VII itself, and thinks what they do with that as far as a remake is terrific while also still evoking the feelings of the original. Yet, I also know people who kind of think that they don't like some of the choices they make for it. So, I mean, maybe it's always what we usually say, which is that sometimes the answer to something like that is going to be in the eye of the beholder. You're not always going to know what's going to be until it hits you, unless it's a question of, like, what's the consensus. And I guess with Final Fantasy VII Remake, I mean, in my take of it, I guess, in some ways, I don't know necessarily what I think of it against the original, but honestly, I guess I've played the remake in some ways more than the original. In some degrees, anyway. But I do think it feels like a piece of what it is, while also extending out on it. Come on. And I guess we'll see, as far as like Final Fantasy VII stuff, what happens when the next part of the Final Fantasy VII remake comes out, and when the remake of Crisis Core comes out, which I believe is, I think it's next year. It's either next year or this year. I'm trying to remember which it is. Right, bye-bye, Spider.
Okay, Kyrian. Now it's your turn.
I do love the idea of how he'll do the slide, so alright. Actually, yeah, I kind of want to, as I said, I kind of want to try and get an ending that's not the good ending again. Although I don't know if I'll be able to. We'll see, because this is the last level again. I think at this point, after I'm done with this, I'll then show off the gallery, and I think at that point, that'll probably be the end of the show for tonight. But as I said, I'll also try and see at some point coming back to show off the rest of the gallery when I get everything unlocked. But, yeah, at another time. I'll mix it in with something else. I mean, maybe when the House of the Dead 2 remake comes out, we can do that. Although, as I mentioned, next time we come back to the shooting element of House of the Dead, outside of the typing of the Dead, of course, I will probably come back to House of the Dead 2 regular on the Wii, specific. Because I do have that House of the Dead 2 and 3 return on that system, and it's awesome. And it goes to show off the original. Alright, let's get going. Okay, so yeah, I guess, yeah, I guess G has, I keep saying Rogan, like, yeah, G's screams tend to be a little louder, like, yeah, he feels like more pain than Rogan gets into. I don't know if Rogan's been through this before, specific. Alright, come on. Alright, there you go. Actually, one thing to go into, I didn't really indicate this, and since I'll have pictures of this, I can also indicate it that way when I do the edit for the YouTube site in a couple days. The way this works is that the Joy-Cons for the Switch just kind of go into this, but because of the fact that the ZR button on the right one is kind of a trigger, that kind of is your trigger, but it's a little different than saying, like, oh, it's actually a gun trigger, which is weird. I would have thought that, you know, maybe there would be more an official accessory for something like that, but hey, this works just fine as far as how it is. As Dolphin, you're mentioning, the idea that this is still the replication of an arcade, even though the way this gun is more like a shotgun setup, kind of like House of the Dead 3, actually, a little bit in terms of how the layout of this gun is. But it still feels just like it's like coming home again, specifically. Although I will say this, when I've been accidentally turning on the movement with the analog stick, it still feels pretty responsive, so I guess if you get this on something that doesn't have motion controls to it, or it has other elements as far as method of control, you can't get the motion element for it. I don't think you're going to be a case of it controlling badly, which is kind of the question sometimes. You get a sense of, hey, a light gun shooter that doesn't have support for a light gun. Which, honestly, I think so far we haven't really played a game that's like that. But at some point we probably will. Actually, as I mentioned, Virtua Cop, I think, is going to be a case like that, because I don't think I could show the use with the stunner. And actually, I don't have the stunner as far as it on Saturn to show that way. So I'll probably just use the controller, although it does control well with the controller. And even House of the Dead 2 on the Dreamcast controls okay with the controller, although I would think Virtua Cop controls better. This controls better. House of the Dead 3 and 4 especially control a little better with just the controller. That is that. These are light gun games, and when you can get that form factor running, you want it. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, I'm getting tons of points still. Like, I kind of want, you know, yeah, punch me. I was gonna say, wait, hold on, what hit me? Oh, okay, I get what happens. And I'll continue for that. Let's see it again. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that. One thing I didn't really mention is that actually a lot of the enemies have different weak points. So you usually think with the zombie, shoot him in the head because that's what the brain is, but not always. So actually, the ones with the metal, I shot the metal off and the bullet came back and hit me. Okay, so that's what happened. I was like, wait a second, why'd I die? Alright, that makes sense. So maybe some of those hits I wasn't expecting, maybe that's where it came from. In that case, I got more than a pentakill. I got like 10 kills at once. Damn. Alright, I fear I'm going to show off the good ending again, unless I just intentionally play bad on Mr. What's his name here? Or on Mr. Magician. Yeah, no way out, Curian. Yeah, I know.
Your consistency, but you will never, ever defeat me.
I mean, technically he's right, I guess, because, like, we didn't defeat him. It's like, his creation did. Because the idea of, you know, when you play God, someone always loses, so, in this case, it's him.
Who are you? Nobody gives me instructions.
Yeah, this looks familiar, but, yeah, it's still fun. Like, even though this is short, it's, like, something you still want to keep coming back to, as I mentioned. The branching paths absolutely add to that, and that is, when you really think about it, probably the smartest thing that Sega did with this entire franchise. The idea of coming with, how do you get replay value out of this, give you different paths based on what you do. Alright, Magician Type 0, let's see this again, but I'm probably gonna let myself get... Well, either I let myself go, or I get really high on points. You know, fine, I'll let him hit me. I think I only have one left. Okay, so yeah, that was my last continue, so I have to... Okay, this is gonna take a while to get down. I basically just have to wait a long... You know what? Fine, I'll do it. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll shoot him normally, I'll get him down really low, and then when I get low, I'll just keep dying until I get the bad ending. So it's like, we'll show both elements. Because honestly, I'll tell you, because the normal ending really doesn't mean much unless... Alright, here's the thing. I also gotta see about the... Oh, wait, I gotta continue still. Yeah, if I don't continue in time, that's a game over, so I don't want that to happen. Alright, I kinda wanna see this. It's... The bad ending is... I have to have my points at 0... Okay. You know, I might not be able to even avoid that, because you're seeing how the scoring's working. When I hit him, I'm getting 15 points each. So... you know... Yeah, so in that case, I think what I'll do is I'll keep shooting him. And I have to get him down enough, because I have to have that last digit as a 0 in order to get the bad ending. So, alright, so I'm gonna have to try and get the bad ending in this case, but, hey, fitting. We saw Sophie live, so we'll see Sophie not living. Actually, I don't even know if I've gotten the bad ending. In fact, I don't even think I have the achievement of getting the bad ending, so I may as well try and unlock it. And, I mean, when I say achievement, I mean, for Switch, remember, Nintendo doesn't like achievements as far as the idea of it, so they don't have the achievement system the way Sony and Microsoft do, or that Steam does, for example. But it still gives you the credit for it in the list, it'll still have a pop-up. So I'll see what I can do as far as getting it. Alright, so yeah, keep going, keep going. So this is interesting. I'm having to try to play a game badly to get a bad response. Yeah, sorry, G. I guess we are gonna suffer like G did because, yeah, he's getting himself screaming like crazy. Okay, I also gotta remember to hit the right button. I'm hitting the Y button for the reload, and that's not the button I need to hit. Alright, come on. Yeah, he says reload. Okay, that's better than... Here's the thing, the reload sound of Rogan's is kind of more annoying than G's, honestly, because in G's case, it sounds like the arcade game of the original, as far as how it says the reload. So honestly, I think that's kind of better. Yeah, but if him dying is sounding horrible, it's like, yeah, he's not living very long for this. You know, what happens when I get hit by this? Because I've basically not gotten hit. Let's see what happens. Okay, alright, I don't have a blood spurt, but it does something that... Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, it didn't help me out. Come on. Come on, come on. Yeah, I'm just trying to bide my time enough so that I'm at last hit, and then I'll just keep letting myself die. So actually, in this case, yeah, Chad, if you're thinking like, hey, I'll say this, I've always said this as well. Don't ever think, Chad, that just because we're playing a game in a case that I necessarily need to, you know, pay attention to the game necessarily over you, unless I explicitly state it, or my guests explicitly state it. But... yeah, now's a good time for chat discussion if you want to have it that way. Because basically I'm just pretty much getting down to his lowest health. And I'm going to sit back and just let myself die constantly. To try and get myself below that point threshold. Yeah, you're hearing the of G. Like, yeah, G's not having a good time, but yeah, we're winning. Okay, fine. I think at this point, I'm just gonna sit back. I'm gonna let myself get killed. Sort of. Yeah, so, yeah, hear the rumble coming off the other way. Okay, so, alright, this is gonna take actually a little longer. Unfortunately. It's alright, fine. just to give you an idea of what this is looking like, I have the gun on the side, like, lying on my lap. I'm just moving it around randomly. So, like, yeah, that's what it is. And then it's off because of how I have it set, but yeah, we'll zoom it back in, but... yeah, sorry, G. He's like, yeah. Well, I guess here's the other thing, which is that when I hit him, I don't want to hit him too much to get it to something that's not 0. You hit him once, and it's 25, so I just have to hit him one time each, so I have to pretty much just go one bullet at a time. Yeah, just to be careful not to kill him too much. So yeah, this is interesting. I didn't expect to play it this way. Yeah, but since I have tons of points, this is going to take a while, because it's 5,000 points each time I get myself killed to buy a continue. Alright, so come on. Oh, fine. I guess I should start shooting a little bit. Alright, so that's 70, so I think it should just be 2 more hits. I hope it's 2 more hits, but as I said, I'm gonna have to wait, because I want to show that bad ending off, damn it. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna suffer like G did. Again, see, it's funny, I keep coming back to that with House of the Dead 2, even though it's not in this one. So here's the thing, I guess I'll go into this as well. As part of, I guess, what'll be final thoughts a little bit on this one. And that is that I love House of the Dead 1 specific. I might like it better than House of the Dead 2, but I kind of remember the lines in House of the Dead 2 in some capacity, maybe a little more than this one. Sort of, although it's different. And 3 and 4, I played 3 and 4 enough, but not massively. It's one that I definitely want to play those more. Alright, so yeah, keep killing me. This is going to take a while, because I mentioned it has to be under 62,000, and I have to have the last digit 0. Unfortunately, since it's 15 points each hit I make on him, I have to be specific, and I don't want to go crazy shooting him because I don't know if you're seeing there, I was getting like 45 points off of him for hitting 3 times. So I have to unfortunately wait. And by the way, I will not edit past this when I do the YouTube edit for this. Because it shows the idea of like, what you have to do, I guess, to get the good ending or the bad ending. Especially on Horde mode, where I said, oh, you know, you have so many more enemies and you get a bunch of points that way. Right, come on, come on. Yes, this is unfortunately going to take a little while. Sorry for the... Actually, wait a minute. You know, okay, I'll tell you. You know, at this point, it might just be quicker for me to... you know, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll compromise. Instead of doing this, I will... Because you have a stage select. In fact, it'll take less time for me to do this. Fine, we'll buy one more continue. Yeah, fine, you know what? I'm going to beat him now. Unless maybe it's different on... Fine, screw it. Alright, it ended with 0. So, alright, fine. We're going to hold our fire. I'm going to go back in there. I'm going to try and see if I can get the bad ending. You know, we'll skip this because we saw it already. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't see it already for Rogan. Or not for Rogan. For the other guy. Or for G. Alright, so yeah, never mind. Yeah, because it was like, hey, that was going to take too long. So I want to at least keep it going on this. Alright, so there we go. For the hard mode. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go back in. We'll show the... We'll show the bad ending. We'll look at the stuff of that. You can also skip the credits. Hold the A button, skip it. Actually, it's probably going to show the good ending. I don't know if it's going to be different, though, with Rogan. Or, I keep saying Rogan. G. Okay, apparently that... Okay, that's the normal ending, then. So, alright, because on normal ending, you just see the fact that there's the, there's the... What is it? The, there's the mansion. Okay, so I get to show that. So fine, we'll run that, we'll run classic, we'll run normal mode. We'll start at the last level, and then we'll show off the gallery. So alright, this will get some time going on for this. So fine, in that case I'll show off all 3 endings, so why not? Because hey, that's the Super Old Game Saturday way of doing things. We'll show off as much of the game as we can get going, and for the purpose of a game like this, may as well. Actually, it's perfect because we'll start with 0 points. So at this point, this will be way easier to get the worst ending. In that case, I'll probably just... And also, since I'm running classic points, I'm not going to have as much of an opportunity to get more points. This is probably going to work fine. Alright, so let's go through Final Chapter one more time. So it'll take us to a nice 2.5 hours. Alright, so hold my fire. Yeah, yeah, fine, I'm Rogan this way, so this will be the same way. Okay, so... Okay, perfect, because I will definitely have less than 65,000, I think, going to this. Or 62,000. Which I think I will. Alright, so one more time, we'll go through this. So yeah, consider this the greatest hits as far as House of the Dead. Alright, come on. And by the way, when you just start from another level, just basically picking your level, you do start with 0 points. You do have 10 continues to start, or 10 coins. So actually, in that case, that should be fine, honestly. Actually, at that point, if I get a ton of points, I will be able to manage that by saying, like, oh, just take a continue, I think. And I only get 1,500 on a boss anyway, so yeah, this is perfect. Actually, I don't... Okay, fine. Well, actually, I get a decent amount of points on the bats, but... Yeah, I'm not getting to 60,000 or 62,000. Yeah, that still hit me. I don't know how it did. I mean, in that case, I'll say this. I'm gonna love looking back on the footage on this, just so I can get a sense of how did everything hit me. All right. Yeah, we'll take you down, and then we'll get to this. And I'll say this, at least with showing off all the endings, it's easier to do it in this one than in the original, so I'll give it that much. Oh, crap. Wait, did he hit me? Okay, he didn't hit me. It looked like he did. We usually do have a good indication when you get hit. It's just that in some cases it looked like, wait, did I actually get hit or not?
Reload.
Ah.
Reload. Reload. Reload.
Alright, so off he goes, and next... I think next is just... Okay, no, just going down the hall. Okay, so I'm gonna assume, because I'm seeing those stutters again, I'm gonna assume it's the idea that I guess the game is sort of loading while it's happening. As I said, I don't know if the other versions do that or not. Ow. Okay, in that case, I'm also learning the idea of, yeah, don't shoot them in the metal plate, otherwise you get yourself hurt. Alright, perfect. So let's fight Magician Zero again. So at this point, this should be fine. So as long as I end with a, points, or not with points, as long as I end with a 0 on my point total, I'll win. I'll get the bad ending. So in this case, I'm going to just fight him normally. Until the end of it, and then I'll get a sense of, okay, do I need to be careful on where I'm hitting him? Actually, no, I don't think I do, because arcade scoring goes, I think, in 0. So I think I might be able to get this, I think. Yeah, because when I'm hitting them, I'm not getting points. So that's the difference between, you know, classic scoring and modern scoring. You get points for each hit, I believe, on modern scoring, whereas on classic you don't. You only get when you defeat them. Actually, you know what? In that case, I don't know. Do I want to shoot these things down? Well, fine. We'll see. Oh, well. Okay, that didn't give me points. Okay, I just wasn't sure. Because I guess I was thinking to consider those geometry shapes as a separate entity. So that was my thought of, wait a second. Because we were seeing when I was killing the zombies as we went down the hall there, they were giving me points for each one I killed, so were they counting some of his attacks as something like that? But apparently not. Yeah, actually, in this case, yeah, this shouldn't be too much. Yeah, this is, we'd still be sitting here if I was going to do the other method. Yeah, so it's not going to be giving me trouble for that. All right. Unless he dies with like 5 point with a 5-point value or something, in which case I'm going to be really mad. And if not, I'll probably put an edit or put in a link of like what's the battle ending look like. Yeah, so the thing I'm noticing, like, yeah, I'm getting rumbles going on, like, every few seconds for this. And then just the idea, as I mentioned, yeah, the fact that, yeah, look at the bullets going away on my, ammo clip. And then it's like, yeah, just seeing the reload and just seeing them come back. Because I'm basically hitting ZR and B pretty much every couple seconds. Ow. Oh, that's a point. Oh, I lose points doing that. Okay, that's fine. Oh, I lose points from taking hits. Okay. Well, at least I'm losing them in, even increments. Alright, come on. Alright, so we almost have him, and I think we should be fine unless he dies with a 5. Please don't die with a 5 on points, please. Okay, good, he didn't, thank God. Alright, so that's him. So, fantastic. So I'll let him die, watch the cutscene, watch the credits again. And then I'll show off the gallery, and that will be the night. You're hearing the rumble coming off my couch. Actually, I don't know if the mic is even picking that up. It might be. Right, he's gone. There goes Rogan off in the sunset.
I
I have nothing more.
Yeah, with his epic beard, which I don't know if he had in the arcade version, but I'll put a picture here of what he looked like in the arcade in case there's like a reason or a difference of that. Very cool, yeah. Well, we'll see how cool it is also to show the bad ending. So we actually get to show off all three. Yeah, but goodbye, Kyrian. Goodbye, Sophie. And I guess we'll see Sophie, as I mentioned, how she's going to be in the back of this. Alright, and since it is, yeah, last digit at 0, that should be it. Alright, that's a rookie agent because I started on that level, that's fine. So let's put in the name of the typewriter one more time. Alright, watch the credits, and we'll go into, I'll go into final thoughts before I show off the gallery, and then we'll do the schedule as is want for the program. Okay, so yeah, final thoughts on House of the Dead Remake. It's a very good release that admittedly does have some technical snafus on this system at least, but nothing awful. I mean, given how, we sometimes went into this, the idea of how the Switch is being less powerful system than some of the other modern ones can kind of kneecap it. This is still one where they manage it well enough, and as I said, because of the motion capture stuff, or the motion control stuff, I should say, I'm still happy I bought it on the system just for the purpose of having that and playing it exactly like House of the Dead. As the other thing you were mentioning, it's like playing in the arcade. That's the best praise you can give it. It definitely looks and sounds nice for what it's doing, and definitely feels, it captures the spirit of that original game and all the memories you had for it, and there's something to be said about that. And it's another winner specifically from Forever Entertainment Megapixel, just like with the Panzer Dragoon remake, which is another really good one. And we'll definitely see more from them because they're going to be remaking the sequels to both Panzer Dragoon and House of the Dead. Hopefully hear something soon. Maybe we'll hear when I'm editing, as has sometimes been the case, that they'll listen to this program and say, like, hey, somebody here, the people here, the chat I have here, I'm here as far as running the show for it being this way anyway for this week, that they'll hear that and say, like, oh yeah, we have this coming out, here's some information, and then, I don't know, feed into this, I don't know, maybe it's a superstitious case of the thought that people will bug the show. But either way, it just seems like it's happened so many times. Like, I mentioned something that's like, oh, by the way, this is coming. The Cuphead thing, the physical release of Cuphead. I'm waiting 4 years for that thing. And then I mentioned it last week, and then this week they said, oh, by the way, it's coming. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So, great for that. And also, I guess kudos to Sega for the purpose of saying that, yeah, doing something, I guess, smart in the sense of saying that, alright, we don't think we can put our time and effort and money, I guess, into making the game ourselves, but outsource it to people who can who've shown that they can do it. As I mentioned, they show they can do it with Megapixel for this and Panzer Dragoon remake. Streets of Rage 4 being another really good case of that, which was .mu, I believe, who did the development of that. That's a great game. We'll definitely get to that after we do Streets of Rage 3 eventually. That will be when we get to that. But then the idea of saying, keeping these franchises alive with other companies that know what they're doing and show that they can, you know, do justice to it. Which is definitely the case of House of the Dead remake, and definitely has been a fun time to be able to play this. And to show off basically as much as I can show off of it, pretty much. Although I said, if I can show off more on the other stuff with the survivors, I'll do that. Otherwise, at in a future date, or I'll put something in the YouTube link list to show that, okay, what do you get, or what do you see when you get it. I'll show it when we get to the gallery as it is. But yeah, it's definitely a good remake. It does cost about $25 if you're downloading it on any of the systems it's on, which are, again, our Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, PC, and Stadia, for as long as the Stadia is around, which is going to be dying, by the way, in January. But it is up there if you have access to it, or you have that for playing for your streaming element for it. Yeah, that's the one way to go. And as I mentioned, there's the physical limited edition, which is on PS4 and Switch. I have the Switch one, and it definitely is good to be able to have this nice on my shelf next to all my other weird stuff I like, as far as, you know, my physical stuff for Switch. Actually, Streets of Rage 4 and the Panzer Dragoon remake being the other two, which I have their collector's edition specific, the Streets of Rage 4 collection that is in a big Genesis box, and the Panzer Dragoon remake that is in a Sega Saturn long case. They have a nice stuff for that, and I guess goes the Sega thing for it. Yeah, it's definitely worth your time. You never played House of the Dead before, and if you have played House of the Dead, definitely is going to be a good return to it, and definitely captures that feeling, and is a fun time by yourself or with other people for sure. As I said, if you're getting that perspective of, hey, I can't find this in my local arcade, or I want to bring the arcade home in a strong way like this is your good option. The other way, as I mentioned, is on Sega Saturn for the original, but you want to import the Saturn version because it's like $50 for the Japanese version and about $300-400 for the US. And it's not a great port, admittingly. In fact, it was by Tantalus, interestingly enough, who did the Sonic Mania port for the Switch, interesting enough. So they're still going to this very day. Yes, it is very good. It definitely is. And yeah, like a lot of the Sega stuff, yeah, they thank you for playing. It is fun, for sure. And here's the bad ending. We should be getting the bad ending. If we don't, I'm going to be very annoyed. Okay, I guess we didn't see it. I don't know why. Alright, I'll put in a link in the link list to show what's the bad ending. Because what's supposed to happen for that is that Sophie's supposed to come out of that. She's supposed to be a zombie. I don't know, maybe you have to, okay, yeah, I picked the other gun up for the purpose of that. So maybe that's why it didn't show. Maybe because I selected just the mission. I thought I could get away with doing that, but I guess not. So fine, let's take a look at the gallery. And this will take us to a nice 2.5 hours. You use the help of your friend in cooperative mode. And there is a competitive mode, which I guess is probably getting more points. Actually, I think that's what it is. I don't think it's, actually, I don't think you could really shoot each other. That would be an interesting idea of a light gun game where you have to shoot the other player. Alright, so here's what the gallery is. You do get your elements of all of the zombies in the game. When you play through the game and you run into the zombies and kill them, you get them showing here, and you can basically move around, use the right analog stick to rotate them around, do like the zombie pose. It's like, yeah, strike a pose, my friend. You can do zooming in with ZL and ZR, which I was doing left and right. This is a regular wardrobe. If you save all the scientists, they'll give you extra stuff. I'll put a link showing what that is. We'll show it off later. Alright, there you go. Yeah, you can do the zoom in. So there's Bentley there. Bentley is, let's go to see him again. Some of Samson might not look like it, but he's fast, resilient, throws barrels. And they also show you what the weak points are. I look forward to playing this with you. Yeah, definitely so. We can definitely get that going. Or we could show that for it, or if you also want to call dibs on any other House of the Dead games, aside from Typing the Dead, that's Nocturne specific, we could definitely show those off. Or we could get a case of showing this one off again, and the House of the Dead 2 remake whenever it gets finished. Because it's in development, but we don't know much more about it aside from that. Definitely stuff to see that. And you're also seeing, as I mentioned, the weak points of the enemies. So yeah, here's Bourbon. So yeah, we'll get the close-ups on all the zombies. There's Bentley. His weak point is the chest. Yeah, okay, so you definitely would like to do that. Alright, sounds good for that. So there's Bourbon, who hides in the sewers. His weak point is head. Here's Buil, who is the, I guess the sea creature. Yeah, just shoot right at him, pretty much. He can come out of the water really quickly. The Burner, who has the flamethrower, like that. Usually hit him in the chest or the head. Or a lot of times you sometimes want to shoot the arms off because then they drop what they're holding. So at that point, you can then avoid that. There's the Chariot, which is actually, yeah, the first boss. So there he is, right there. So yeah, they're all striking a pose. There's Cyril, who is the one with the axes. Roll him over the head or the chest, but he throws the axes, and that could be a case of it. But you can shoot him down, as we showed. Yeah, the Devilon, I guess. Yeah, so there's the bats. Yeah, they're gonna be trouble, so make sure to shoot them down as quickly as you can. There's Drake. So yeah, he's like Freddy Krueger, a little bit. Except he has knives instead of like the hooks for the hands. Yeah, but when he gets the knives shot out of his hands, he'll run towards you. So they'll talk about behaviors and stuff. So if you're going through to try to find all the survivors, they give you little hints about, hey, when you see these, what do you want to do to them? All right, so there's Ebiton A, who comes from the swamp, or I guess the idea of like Swamp Thing almost. I guess there's a lot of other variants, like the ones that are crawling where they have the little knife right there. Up here in narrow passages, there's C, which it looks like he has some stuff coming off on the side of him that way. He's slow, he's a bit of a easy target, but he's around humid places. As well as Gilmore, who's the one with the hammer. Another case of, as I mentioned, when you want to take down enemies with weapons, usually shoot the hands so they can drop the weapon they're holding. As well as Hanged Man. Oh, no, I don't want to quit. Yeah, I hit the B button by accident for the purpose of that. So there he is. We saw him. There he is flying around. There is his metal breastplate. That's where his weak point was, as mentioned. There's Harris, who has the mace ball, or the ball and chain, swinging it around. Yeah, if you lose, he'll come after you. There's the Hermit, so there's the big-ass spiders. Like, yeah, sorry, Crusader64, if you're watching this, or when you watch this, you do the big spider to that. But we did kill it. Well, we did kill it, but yeah, it is in, yeah, because we are in the foyer of the house specific. So, like, yeah, they came in right at the front. We're having a party, I guess, for the purpose of this. There's Ivan, one of the traditional zombies, just going around. Actually, one thing I do like about this gallery mode, it does let you kind of look at some of the details of what they're doing. So even though I'm saying, like, hey, there's elements of the tech of this game that I've got questions about, you can still see a lot of the artistry was put into this, in that it looks in keeping with how they looked in the original game, in the arcade specifically, but it does look like they did kind of recreate them in ways that do feel kind of new yet familiar at the same time. And same with Hanzu. I guess, like, Hattori Hanzu. Didn't he swear a blood oath to not make another sword? But apparently, not this one. Yeah, he has actually, I guess, the things on his hand, so he has, like, the leather, I guess, bracers on his hand. I actually never knew that. That's cool to see that. There's, Kageo. Yeah, you'll see those a lot in House of the Dead 2, I'll say that for sure. If Creeps extremely poor condition with sunken eyes. Actually, even the idea, like, he doesn't have the one eye, so that's kind of interesting to see that. There's Moody, who's the robot guy, or the one with the robot hands. It does look like it comes from space this way, so, like, yeah, space zombies. The zombies are keeping in shape, almost doing push-ups. Yeah, you're right. I mean, oh, no, that was a Hanzu. I guess, fine, he's on the ground that way. You're like, that could be his, he's getting ready to lunge. He just seemed like he's in pretty good shape, so yeah, good observation that way. And also the, yeah, the dog with wings that can't fly. Its main attack is biting. It's hard to aim at. Specifically, and there are different ones of different... Alright, so they do have the dog barking that way. It's like, yeah, the twisted element of that element. Actually, yeah, you don't really even hear the sound effect of their, like, cries that much in the game, where I'm just killing every one of the zombies too quickly to see that. Magician, of course, is the final boss. There he is. It's like, yeah, here you go. You get the, almost looks a little like Hellraiser, a little bit, kind of. I'll put a picture of Hellraiser in the edit here, just to give an idea of what it is. Yeah, Kyrian's masterpiece, except Hellraiser, I don't think had elements of music to, or elements of magic to him that I'm aware of. Moody, as we mentioned before. The names, I guess. Alright, yeah, the slugs. Yeah, he only appears at the first stage as we went down, so he did show a lot of the ways of that. Yeah, there's Neil. I love the idea, like, he just says the name of Neil. He's, like, he's better dressed up than Sam. He's, like, a better take on Sam. Main attack is a hand strike or biting, so hit his arm or head. Yeah, the Murr, who are, like, the snake things, are, like, the leeches. Oh, whoa. Oh, so there's, like, 3 of them there. Also, you can hit the right stick, by the way, to hide the UI, so you can get a better look at what they are. So, yeah, there they are. There's Neil again. There's the Parlor, who are the ones with the knives. Yeah, laser knives. Okay, that's cool. So there you go. Not only are they keeping in shape, but they're coming from space. They're having all these weird experimental elements, which fits. There's Robert, the one with the metal. Iron armor makes him immune to bullets in those places, and they bounce back and kill you. Yeah, so hit him on the arms usually, or anywhere that's exposed usually. So it looks. All right, there's Ruben, who actually does do the Freddy Krueger thing. In fact, I'll get the UI out there so I can also put a picture of Freddy Krueger right here to give a perspective of the idea that I guess that's what Sega and I guess the people who made this remake were going for. I mean, I think all these... Actually, I think all the enemies were in the remake, or in the original, along with the remake. I don't know if they themed them differently in this one, at least as far as I know. Yeah, Saruzo. Yeah, kind of like... Oh, he's a macaque. Okay, so he's a, he is a gorilla. Or variants of gorilla. There he goes. He does the leaping as far as how that is. So yeah, he's definitely getting his stuff going on. Yeah, there's Samson with the chainsaw. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, yeah, look at that. Actually, that looks pretty good as far as how... Look at the chainsaw. I was like, yeah, don't want to be around him. But yeah, he's probably... We mentioned the lumberjack thing with Timbers. Like, yeah, it's probably he was doing before he died specific. So yeah, shoot his hands off so he doesn't have that going, or shoot his head. And then Sam, the most common creature here. There he is. So yeah, parts of his body have wasted away. I guess you have his little intestines going on here. Yeah, his main attack is biting. Yeah, absolutely it is. Then Sean, there's Sean. Or insert from Heavy Rain, Sean! At some point I'll have to show Heavy Rain specific. I can get away with showing that game in its way, because that's definitely an interesting one, but definitely a different take than a zombie thing. I mean, a little horror in that game, kind of too, but in a different way. Yeah, endurance isn't his best feature, but he tends to attack in multiple groups. There's Simon, who has stronger strength. Yeah, he is pretty ripped. Look at him. Yeah, his brother destroyed all the furniture's compounds, and he attacks a hand strike. And there's Larry, so there he is. Yeah, look at that. His right arm collarbone was torn off. His blood turned completely green. His lack of skin doesn't mean he's less dangerous. And I believe there is also different blood colors you can run in this, by the way. And there's the Thalang. Yeah, that's creepy, coming out of underneath the sofa there. So actually, I'll tell you, that's creepier than, in fact, yeah, it's creepier than the fact that, oh yeah, there's spider cases, like, Jesus, they're coming out of there. But yeah, you do see a lot of the detail on them that way. Yeah, so be careful when it comes to him. He usually drops the ceilings to the ground, and then Vincent. Likes to stay aloof, you run into it, don't expect to reduce fear. His hairstyle is trademark. Okay, so those are all of them. As I mentioned, this is the part I can't show, but I'll get an indication. And the achievements. These are the same on all the versions, and they do have them in Switch. So let's see the ones I've gotten so far, which are complete the campaign at difficulty. So yeah, agent for that. Murder, accidentally kill a scientist, which I did. Psychopath, kill all the scientists in a chapter. Pentakill, kill 5 enemies in a row with modern scoring. Reinforcements, let player 2 join a game while you're playing a single-player game. Really? I'll lose all your credits and die. Butcher by killing 666 enemies. Let's see. Traveler, discover all paths available in the game, so you're going to have to play the game multiple times. So this also gives you elements to play it again, specific. Finish campaign with arcade difficulty. Beat Cherry at the end of the first chapter. Beat Hangman at the end of the second. Unknown. I think those go with the secret achievements of the console version, or the other consoles versions on Xbox and PlayStation. Who let the dogs out? Knock back the Ken-Fies. Oh, right, I think you have to shoot them specific so they bounce back, I think. No ammo wasted. Finishing a chapter without doing a reload with bullets in the wait, hold on. Finish a chapter without reloading with bullets in the chamber. So, okay, how's that going to work? I guess you got to play in 2-player and let the other player shoot everything and just never shoot yours and have bullets in your gun, I guess, yes? Alright, so just change how you play the game, if nothing else. Yeah, I'll look into that to see what that's like, or have a link to, like, what is the way to unlock that. Because we're seeing it. The way to play this game is that you really can't go through a level and live without shooting to some degree. So I think they'd probably be like that. You basically have to play in 2-player, let the other player do all the work for the purpose of that, I think. But if that's not how it is, I'll put a editor or some kind of indication that. Swifty by shooting down 50 enemy projectiles. Catch them all, get all the creature entries, which you got. And yeah, the endings, as I mentioned. Normal ending is finish the game with a final score below 62,000, have the last digit not equal to 0. Be a magician at the end of chapter 4. Get every achievement in this. Yeah, this is the bad ending, which I guess this only counts if you go through the game from the start. Okay, so I did not know that, so unfortunately that's the case. And then true ending, which we got at the beginning, which is beat the game with a score of over 62,000. Better than the arcade version of the original, because then you have to do it without continuing. Headhunter decapitates 666 enemies. An unknown. Finish a single chapter without taking damage. Good luck on that one. Don't destroy any of the glass panels in chapter 2. Finish the whole campaign without taking any damage. Okay, good luck on that one. That's another one you probably want to have a friend on. So, like, yeah, you do all the hard work. I'll sit back here and eat a sandwich or something. I don't know. Or if you're really, really good at this game. Another secret. Finish the full campaign in 2-player. Devastate the opponent's body as much as possible. So I guess I'm going to assume, because you could shoot the bodies, you saw that, taking off a bunch of elements of them, but I guess you have to dismember the body enough when you shoot it, and then you get that. Save 1 scientist, discover all 3 endings. Save every scientist throughout the entire game. Kill 3 enemies in a row. Finish any chapter with player 2 by your side, which I feasibly could have gotten if I didn't die on the first world when I did the 2-gun mode, and then shoot all of the all of the bats down of Hangman. Okay, so those are your achievements. And then... yeah, so there you go. That is your gallery mode. So they do give you that to give you more incentive to play through the game and play through multiple times. And it'll be a good take for the purpose of doing that. Alright, with that, I think that is going to be calling it on the House of the Dead remake for the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I'll also let it fade out so we can see the intro again, hear the ringing of the phone, and yeah, go into the idea of, again, my final thoughts of this, which is, yeah, this is a good remake. It is definitely worth your money, for sure. You might want to get this on PS4 if you have the choice, and if you can get the move for it. If you can't, Switch will do. It's good, I think, on anything, but technologically speaking, it's better on some of those systems, and that Series S, Series X enhancement that came out for it last week, I'm pretty sure that's probably going to smoke if you're running it on a console, I would think, as far as frame rate. But in the case of that one, you don't have motion controls, even with the Kinect for the Xbox One. I'm pretty sure it doesn't use it because most people don't remember the idea that, oh yeah, the Xbox One required Kinect initially when it first came out. Actually, even, that's the funny thing too, because actually with Kinect, there wasn't much with the light gun shooting with that, even on the 360 or Xbox One to start. So, I mean, the only one that was sort of was like that was the Gunstringer, but even then it wasn't exactly a shooter, exactly. I mean, and one thing also, there's sort of a little bit of a spin-off, kind of House of the Dead, or kind of like it, a little. Actually, no, it's not a spin-off of House of the Dead. It's a spin-off of, what is it? The other horror game Sega is, Condemned. It's a Rise of Nightmares, which basically is a Kinect-controlled horror game, specific. But yeah, it's $25 to download this on all the consoles. There is that physical version on PS4 or Switch. Either way you go, it is a good way to get your House of the Dead, your light gun shooting horror action on, and a good one to kick off the month of October for our horror marathoning, I guess, is going to be going for the next couple of weeks. Which, speaking of which, let's go into those next couple of weeks. I talked to the medics. Next week, we're going back to Parasite Eve for part 3. We're going to need a 4th part, though, so we'll have to figure out when the next part of that's going to be, but... next time, we're going to beat the game. Yeah, you're loving Halloween, Finn. I'm getting a sense of that, yes? Yeah, we definitely have more Halloween. Every game we're playing in October is horror-themed in one way or another. And it'll be including us finishing a couple games off, and going back to games we played, and starting a new one at the end of the month, and also having another new one in 2 weeks. But a good theme. Yeah, I mean, I realized the idea of how that was, and also with Parasite Eve, because I don't think with Parasite Eve, just going this, next week we're going to beat the game, and then we're going to start our traps, or our run through the Chrysler building. I'm trying to do the junk grind. It's not going as well as I thought it was going to be going. I only have 60 of the 300 we need for that best weapon. Even to the point where I beat the game off screen. I actually bypassed the story stuff because I didn't want to watch it until we got on the show. But then I realized, oh, you have to engrave your weapon and armor, otherwise it doesn't carry over for the extra game. And I gotta get a sense of how I can do that grind. I'll figure what I can do with that. But either way, medics will be with me next week for part 3 of Parasite Eve, as we beat Eve down, or finish the game for the main story, and then get into the extra ending, or start getting towards it with the Chrysler building, which we're gonna need another part. So we'll have the other part, I think, November, but I'll have a more concrete idea of that on next week's show. 2 weeks from now. It might be a Friday show. I don't know. I'll get a sense of it next week. I'll have a better answer. But for 2 weeks from now, either on the Friday or the Saturday, and that will be determined or announced next week. I mentioned earlier, we're playing a game that is of an established franchise that is no longer available to buy. And it's an unfortunate case that it's no longer available to buy. I've mentioned it before, but we're going to be playing Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth, which is on the Wii. It was released as a download-only game on the WiiWare service. It is a remake of Castlevania The Adventure from the Game Boy from 1989, but it's an awful game. So what happened is that M2, who does a great job of porting stuff, they actually did a lot of the Castlevania collections recently. They did the Castlevania Anniversary Collection and Advanced Collection. In 2009, they remade Castlevania The Adventure into a Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis style platform game, and it's great. And it is a shame it is no longer available to own legally unless you hack your Wii specific. But I did buy it before it went out and before the Wii store shut down, so I'm going to be showing it off. It is a terrific Castlevania game. Us going back to Castlevania because it's been a while since we touched that franchise, but I realized, okay, we have to come back to this. I figured the one we can jump into quickly is going to be that one, but I definitely want to do Symphony of the Night eventually. I know ElecVerse has indicated interest in seeing Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness, of which the Crusader 64 is going to help me with both of those, because he has both of them on the PS2. He has Curse of Darkness on the PS2, which is the rare version, and I think he's called dibs on basically both of those, so at some point we'll come to those, but for the next case of Castlevania, it'll be Adventure Rebirth, and to give a sense of what's been lost, and maybe the idea that me putting it out there at this point, we'll get a sense of Konami saying that we'll re-release this, because they're doing they did the Cowabunga collection for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're remaking Suikoden 1 and 2. I think they could do this, and the last couple of Castlevania collections they made, Castlevania Advance Collection and Anniversary Collection, are terrific. If you haven't bought those, they're totally worth your money. And M2 made them. So I'd love to see another one with this game in it. They sound good. Well, thank you. They definitely are good. And at the end of the month, October 22nd, we're going to be going back to The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I am pretty sure we're going to be finishing the game. I did my test playthrough on that over the week and over the past couple weeks, just to get a sense of, is 5 or so hours going to be enough to finish that game? I think it is. In fact, I'm going to say it's going to have to be because of Parasite Eve when we go back to that. But yeah, the Crusader 64 is going to be joining me on October 22nd for that one. And then October 29th is the show that he's been waiting for ever since he first understood what I do on every weekend for this program, and since he said, oh, I want to be in on this. He's going to start Shadow Hearts for the PlayStation 2, which is fitting because we had the closure of the Kickstarter for Arn Fantasia and Penny Blood, specifically Penny Blood, which is the spiritual successor to Shadow Hearts. Maybe us putting Shadow Hearts out there now on the back of that successful Kickstarter, we'll get a sense of the original games getting re-released, because they do not go cheap. Especially the first one, which is about a $150 game, which is still cheaper than House of the Dead on the Saturn. So I'll give it that much at least. Or Kodelka on the PlayStation, which is the prequel to Shadow Hearts. But the Crusader 64 is going to be controlling that one as our next RPG, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I know he is for sure. And November 6th, I'm thinking we'll go back to Parasite Eve for its final part. I have to talk to a medics. I'll have a better answer that next week for that. And then the 13th, I think, will be the next part of Shadow Hearts. I also talked with the Crusader 64 as far as, like, does he need to be having that happen on the 6th or the 13th? Because the idea is that we were thinking we'd need 2 more parts of Majora's Mask, but I don't think we're going to. So he was going to be on for 4 weeks straight. But if it's like, hey, 1 he doesn't need, I would think the 6th for Parasite Eve's finale, I think. And then the 5th. And then the 12th of our return to Shadow Hearts. And then at the end of the month, the viewer request for November is going to be Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse for the Super Nintendo. Weekend of Thanksgiving is the racing showcase through the Dreamcast with its 20 games that we're going to get into. We're going to love doing that. And in December, we have the next part of Shadow Hearts. We have Tetris Plus for Sega Saturn. We have Streets of Rage 2 for the Sega Genesis. I'll talk with Nocturne. As mentioned, Nocturne popped on the screen. I will talk to her about this. I know she wanted to do Mega Man X4. We might be able to do that in September or December. We'll see. And the other week, I'll be open. I'll figure what I'll do about that eventually. And then we get into January, which, as I mentioned, the first game we're doing is Mystical Ninja starring Goemon for the Nintendo 64, restarting it. And then we'll finish that in 2 months. Or in February, specific to that. And then I'll figure also some stuff as far as the scheduling as we get into 2023. But yeah, with that, I think that is going to do it for the House of the Dead remake tonight. Thank you so much for watching Super Old Game Saturday for our first horror edition of the show. The idea that we're actually planning the idea of this. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Have a good week. Thank you so much, Dolly Finn. Thank you for jumping in. As I said, we'll definitely coordinate to get you on for one of these House of the Dead games for sure. And thank you for adding so much. Thank you to everybody in chat. ElecVerse, Edwack, everybody else. Have a great rest of your weekend, a great night, and a great week coming forward. I'll see you next Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, Eastern Standard Time is EST. So yeah, I'll see you next week at that time on Saturday for part 3 of Parasite Eve with the Medics. Until then, keep being awesome. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Have a great week. Thank you so much for everything, and take care.